Country, where you'll find personalized service in a friendly atmosphere. Hello again, everyone. I'm Tom McCord, along with Gene DeSonia tonight as the Lakers from Lake Superior State University, the defending NCAA champions, Gene, come to town to take on the hockey Wildcats, currently in second place in the WCHA.
Well, it should be a real good game. It's always a great rivalry between the Lakers and the Wildcats, being cross-peninsula schools, and that's just got to add to the excitement tonight, Tom.
Last year, Lake Superior defeated Northern Michigan in Sault Ste. Marie by a score of 3-2. These teams have played the most versus each other in Northern hockey history, and that series resumes tonight. Earlier this evening, I had the opportunity to talk to head coach Rick Comley, and here's how that conversation went. With Northern head hockey coach Rick Comley. And coach, a disappointing road trip last week out to Duluth. I know you wanted to get at least a split out there. From all indications that I heard and read, the team didn't play all that well the first night, played a lot better the second night, though, but still came up on the short end.
We did. We certainly didn't want to lose two games, and we know it's a tough rink. We've had a lot of trouble there and haven't won since '85. And, you know, I think it's a series that we should have won a hockey game the way we've been playing, but we seem to go backwards and weren't, not unprepared or anything. It's just that we weren't at our best, and the kids have to work hard to play well. They didn't play hard enough, I guess, and so we lost two games.
What do you think the difference is about that Duluth arena? It's a real nice building for anybody that hasn't been there. Great sight lines, a great place to watch a hockey game. What do you think the differences are?
Well, there's no room between the blue lines. It's a very short building, and it just seems you run out of room very quickly, and they play well in it. They skate well, they're strong, they play you very tight, they don't give you much room, and I don't know for sure. I mean, it's not a long trip. That shouldn't hurt you. You know, you like playing in front of a big crowd that's loud and involved, and they are, and I don't know, but just for some reason we haven't played well.
Well, tonight you get a chance to turn that around a little bit. Northern Michigan's first non-conference game of the season, and it's against a team that you're familiar with from your background, and that's Lake Superior State University.
Well, we go back a little ways, that's for sure, back to 1967, but, you know, they're a good team, and it'll be a good test for us, a good game, defending national champion, prides itself in a lot of things that we've tried to do this year, and good defensive play, and let the goals take care of themselves, and they haven't scored much. I mean, you know, if you listen to Frank at the luncheon today, he kind of bemoans that fact that they miss good opportunities, but they don't give you many opportunities. And they outshot us a year ago, 40-20, when they beat us 3-2, and they think they probably can do the same type of thing. And we'll have to work hard to get any goals tonight.
You know, did you maybe take a page out of the Lake Superior philosophy from last year when they got to the NC2A finals and won it all? They won it on hard work, team togetherness, good effort, night in, night out, and that seems to be much the way that the Northern Michigan hockey team has developed this season.
Probably. I think the whole WCHA seems to have done that this year. It's a harder working league. It's a tighter league defensively, and there aren't as many goals being scored. And I don't know. I guess if you see somebody have success, that you try to do some of that too. And I think that, coupled with the fact that we've tried for years to score enough goals to win and haven't done it, maybe have forced us into a better defensive team. And we've got to strive to regain that early in this second half.
You know, in tonight's game, it's not a must-win situation for Northern. It is your first non-conference game. It is a game, though, you'd like to win. It might help you down the road a little bit with the NC2A pairings.
Well, it could help you a lot. You only have 3 non-conference games. Now, we're, I think, a fatigued hockey team mentally because we've played more than everybody else. We only have 15 games left, and only 12 of those are conference games. So basically, we've kind of set our tempo, and other people now have to catch us. And these 3 games against Lake Superior could be very, very important in March if we do well enough to be considered for an NCAA bid.
Do you expect a close, tight-checking hockey game tonight? It seems to be the style of both teams.
I think they're going to be bigger and stronger than us. I don't think they'll be quicker. I think they'll be very disciplined, and I think we have to put pressure on Hoford if we're going to do well.
Newcomer to the lineup tonight, transfer Perry Florio from Providence.
Well, he hasn't played in 18 months. I asked him before the game how long it had been. He's a talented kid. He will not be in great shape, but you can only get in shape to a certain level in practice, and he's talented enough that he could make a difference the second half.
You know, you mentioned coming onto the broadcast tonight that, you know, you did go to Lake Superior State back in the 60s. Why don't you give us a little background on your career? I know you were a centerman down there for the Lakers at that time.
Well, I came from Stratford, Ontario, and back in the days when the National Hockey League had 6 teams. And believe it or not, I went to pro camp for 2.5 weeks before I went to college. And the only reason I left pro camp was because it was in the middle of the Detroit riot, and I'd had enough of burning buildings, and I wanted out of there. So I went to college up there and played center with Ron Mason being the coach. We did very well. In fact, had great hockey teams, and it was an experience I enjoyed very much.
You know, just a quick comment. Seems to be a lot of surprises going on. Maybe not surprises. Last night in the Great Lakes, North Dakota really just waxed off Michigan State.
Well, they played well, and State didn't, and North Dakota was tight and quick. I think they surprised State a little bit, got the early lead, as Michigan did overtake in the first game and just made it tough for them to catch up.
Coach, best of luck tonight against the alma mater.
Thanks, Tom.
First period hockey action, Northern Michigan and Lake Superior State's Hockey Lakers coming up next here on Channel 8. Welcome back to Marquette's Lakeview Arena. I'm Tom McCord, along with Gene DeSonia. And Gene, a look at the WCHA standings. Minnesota, a winner last night, moving back into the lead in the WCHA.
Well, it's a tight race. Of course, Minnesota with some games up on Northern Michigan right now, and hopefully that lead won't increase too much. Hopefully somebody can beat the Gophers down the stretch and maintain Northern at least close to the top. But I think that they'll have a good shot at a home playoff berth for sure this year, and that would be the first time in their history of the WCHA.
Well, Minnesota last night won a close one-goal game with Denver, currently fourth. You see Michigan Tech there, who lost in the opening round of the Great Lakes Tournament, followed by North Dakota, who upset Michigan State last night, and that surprised a few people.
Yeah, that's a real big surprise. Michigan had their big 19-game win streak come to a halt, and they've been playing some great hockey during the past few months, and it's surprising to see a team like North Dakota just run in there and dominate them, but every team's a good team in the WCHA.
Well, the Northern Michigan Wildcats are on the ice, and we do have a couple of new additions to the lineup tonight. As we alluded to earlier, Perry Florio, the transfer from Providence College, is in the lineup for the first time this season for the Hockey Wildcats. Dave Porter returns. Dave off his stint as a Bresnan color man a couple of weeks back against Denver U, back in the starting lineup tonight. And deletion from the starting lineup tonight, Phil Berger, Gene, not dressed.
Well, that's going to be a big question mark for the Wildcats as far as scoring goes. Of course, everybody's been doing a good job spreading the scoring around on the team, so hopefully they'll be able to fill that void tonight.
Of course, last season, Phil Berger suspended for a game against this Laker Hockey Club when they played down in Sault Ste. Marie. I talked to Rick Comley briefly before the warm-up tonight, asked him if there was anything I could say on the air, and he said, well, say what you want to, and all I can say is your guess is as good as mine why Phil Berger is not dressed. Both teams onto the ice, the Sioux Lakers, the defending NC2A champions, and the Hockey Wildcats, and I look for a very fast and physical hockey game tonight.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Northern won 4-3 in overtime on Berger's goal, and that was a pretty defensive hockey game. And of course, last year we went there, and they managed to beat us by a goal, but it's always a pretty tough defensive battle between these two squads.
Taking a look at Bill Pye on the screen. Pye had a rough weekend last weekend against Duluth, 14-7-1 record, played 2 and a partial period in the opener against the Bulldogs last week, and then Willie Mitchell came on, and Mitchell continues to impress Coach Rick Comley. He played well in the final 8 minutes or so of the game on Thursday night, then played the entire game Friday night, came up short by a goal, but had a good effort.
Well, what you don't want to do is burn out your goalie all the way down the stretch heading into the playoffs. And so hopefully Willie Mitchell will be able to contribute to the team and take a little bit of that load off of Bill Pye's shoulders.
Of course, the man that we're focusing on now is Bruce Hofford in the Laker corner. He was instrumental last year in the Laker winning of the NC2A. Ready for the starting lineups. Let's go down to Tim McIntosh.
In goal, number 30, Bruce Hofford. On the bench, number 3, Walt Privilege. Number 22, Dan Spencer. Center number 24, Anthony Wolfo. On the wing, number 10, Brett Barnett. And number 14, Mike DeGarmo. The Lakers have one minute strike and goal.
Tell you what, Gene, something to listen for in a hockey game tonight at the Laker. If the Wildcat crowd is silent, you ought to be able to hear Frank Anzalone rather well in behind the Laker bench.
Yeah, he's quite an animated coach, to say the least. And I know that a couple of games last year, they were down by something like 3 or 4 goals, and he pulled their goalie in like the first or second period just to get the team back, and they ended up winning that hockey game, or at least coming back to tie it. And, you know, he's the type of coach that'll take those chances.
A very fiery hockey coach, a very technical-minded hockey coach. At times not a very well-liked coach by some of the people around the Sioux area, but he does get results. Starting line for Northern Michigan onto the ice right now, and Ed Ward, of course, on the right side, Jeff Galicki on the left, Dallas Drake in the center. That line continues to impress as the season goes on. Here's our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand as visitors stand right, sing our national anthem. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly behaved at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red flame of Oxford beaming, and came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Marquette stand right with his usual excellent version of the national anthem. We're about ready to get the hockey game underway. The referee tonight is Brian Ritchie, your linesman Bill Wiseman, and Bruce Olson. Wildcats going from our left to our right here in the opening period as we look at the starting lineups on the screen. Bill Pye in the Wildcat goal facing Bruce Holfert in the Lake Superior net. And of course the line that we talked about coming on, Drake, Galicki, and Ward, continue to impress, Gene.
Yes, all of them are doing well. I spoke with Galicki at school about a couple weeks ago, and I was calling him a scoring sniper, and he was laughing at me. It's amazing how somebody can come on like that in a season, somebody especially on a checking line like Galicki is.
Well, he has really turned his game around from the first 2 years here at Northern Michigan. All the credit in the world to number 27 as the Wildcats gather around the sophomore goalie Bill Pye. And NMU in the series, we mentioned that it's the most that NMU has ever faced an opponent. They lead 23-11-2. Of course, last year we mentioned the Lakers prevailing 3-2 in Sault Ste. Marie. The year before, Northern Michigan 4-3 here in overtime. And we're looking for another good hockey game here this evening. Of course, later this season, the two teams will meet coming up in Sault Ste. Marie. They'll have a return match here after the first of the year also at Lakeview Arena. Defensive pairing of Podrasky and number 66, Daryl Olson. We're about to get things underway. Anthony Palumbo in to take the face-off with Dallas Drake. Northern Michigan controls the face-off. Podrasky clears down into the Laker zone. Ed Ward with a hit in behind the Laker goal. Puck along the near side boards. Lakers will bring it out to the center red line. Podrasky intercepts, dumps it right back in. Loose puck in the center ice area. This is Olson at his own blue line. Center ice to Drake. Drake has his pass deflect off a Lakers skate back into center ice. Olson clears it right back in, and that's a delayed offside against Northern Michigan. Face-off will come back into the neutral center ice zone. Just underway from Lakeview Arena, no score in the hockey game. And Gene, I didn't get a chance before the holidays, but happy holidays to you and your family, as well as anyone else we didn't wish them to before tonight's broadcast.
Well, I tell you, Tom, between two teams like this, it's going to be the battle's going to be won in the corners tonight. I really believe that the team that out-hustles the other one and gets to the puck first is going to come out with the goal.
As Rick Conley mentioned in the pregame show, the Lakers probably a little more physical, and Northern probably a little bit quicker, so we'll see if that scenario goes as the play goes on. Back through center ice, dumping down into the Northern Michigan zone. That'll be an icing call as DeVita threw it in from his own side of center ice. Face-off will come back into the Lake Superior zone. Antos along with Plandowski and Eric Lamarck for Rick Conley's hockey club. John Good and Phil Sukharoff back on the blue lines. And for the Lakers of Frank Anzalone, Rene Chapdelaine, Jim Dowd, and Pete Stauber up front for the Lakers. Along the near side board, Stauber clears it back in behind his own goal. Clearing pass now comes back out into center ice. Back into his own zone is Sukharov. Cross ice, almost intercepted. Sukharov has to hustle to recover. Play comes into the near side corner. Loose puck there, back on the blue line. Chapdelaine clears it, but it goes over the stick of DeVita. Back into center ice, cleared right back into the Northern Michigan zone, and that's a delayed offside. Face off back into center ice once again.
You had mentioned, Tom, that Stauber on the ice for the Lakers. Of course, he's the brother of Gopher goalie Stauber was the Hobie Baker winner last year, and Sports Illustrated did an article on Lake Superior State when they had won the national championship, and they had mentioned that he was the brother and did a little profile on him in the story.
WCHA scoring leaders on your screen now. Phil Berger ranking number 2 coming into this week's action, although Berger, as we pointed out, not dressed tonight for the game against Lake Superior. In behind the goal, a centering attempt made there by Dean Dyer. That's intercepted, cleared along the near side boards. In his own corner, Jacobson takes a hit up around the shoulder pads, clears to Doug Garrow. Garrow clears it down into the Lakers zone. First person there is Porter, bumps his man off the puck, but Dean Dyer steps in. Play still loose in the Lakers zone, coming right out front of the goal, and Jacobson turned the wrong way, or else he would have had an open shot on Holford. Jablonski tries to clear it down into the northern zone, finally will carry it over the line. Jablonski tries to go around the outside of Garrow, takes a hit from Warenka, who's back in the lineup this week. Clearing pass up the boards, Dyer tries to get that, but Garrow comes away. Garrow up the left side for Northern Michigan, clearing down into the Laker end. First person back is Mark Astley for the Sioux Lakers, clearing back into center ice. Long clearing pass back into laid offside is waved off now as the Wildcats touch up. Lakers control deep in their own zone. Clearing attempt up the near side boards is intercepted. A quick shot taken there by Kevin Scott, and that's blocked and cleared all the way back down the ice, and that'll be an icing call. Face off back into the Laker end.
You know, just moments ago when Jacobson had that opportunity in front of the net, a lot of people probably thought he should have been able to stop and get a swat at that puck, but when he's, you know, momentum's taking him to the left there and he's already into his turn, it's kind of hard to stop and get control of the puck.
I think he was a little surprised to see it come out, too, as we're looking at the leading goaltenders, and there is Pete Stauber's brother, Rob Stauber of Minnesota, right up on top. Curtis Joseph, number 2, and the man off to our left in this first period, Bill Pye, currently number 3. They were discussing, Gene, Rick Conley, and the officials before the hockey game about dropping the puck and how they do it differently in the CCHA. They actually skate with the puck up behind their back, the officials do, and then bring it around and drop it. Penalty coming up on the play, a drive, and that sails just wide as Holford was screened. And the Lakers will head to the penalty box now as they control the puck.
That was a big hook there. It looked like LaParade got a piece of the Wildcat there and just almost tore his neck off. Well, he hooked him from behind.
LaParade will go to the penalty box for Lake Superior State. He's a 6-foot sophomore from Thunder Bay, Ontario. And this Northern Michigan power play, let's set it up now. Northern Michigan on the power play, Gene, have kind of gone down the chutes here in recent weeks. Antos along with Lamarck and Plandowski, Warenka and Olsen back on the blue line. Wildcats control with Antos in the near corner. Clearing back in behind the goal for Eric Lamarck. Lamarck clears it back the other way, picks it up in behind the goal, off to Antos. Antos takes a look back on the blue line, Warenka. Warenka holds right inside the blue line, winds up for a shot, and Holford has to make a blocker save on that. Swooping in to pick up the puck, and getting it down the ice is Anthony Palumbo. Northern Michigan coming in 20% even on the power play. Lake Superior State, when they get a power play, we'll talk about theirs. It's even more anemic than Northern Michigan's.
Well, what you like to try to do is get your power play up to about 30%, and you want to hold your opponents to about 20. Northern's doing that defensively, but they just aren't scoring the goals.
You know, we pointed out earlier that with the way the power play has gone, you'd think that Northern Michigan might be closer to the 500 mark, and that's a credit to the hockey team that they have the winning record. Back through center ice for Darrell Olsen. Olsen in over the line. Galicki snaps off a shot. That goes wide. Puck loose into the near side corner. Chapdelaine tries to clear it. Does up the far side boards, and Warenka has to move back. 50 seconds left in the Northern Michigan penalty, or the power play rather, as Warenka drops a pass back for Darrell Olsen. This is Galicki in the center ice zone. Tries to get it to Drake. That's intercepted. Lakers doing a good job of killing off this Northern Michigan power play. Clear it all the way back down the ice.
Well, Lake Superior is converting 14% of their power plays, holding their opponents to 20, so it should be pretty even between Northern on the power play and defensively tonight.
This is Podrasky back in over the Laker line. Dumps for Galicki in the far side corner. Back for Doug Garrow. Blue line for Podrasky goes too far, and breaking out down the right side is Palumbo. Palumbo in over the line of drive, and that's just high on Bill Pye, and he hangs on. 8 seconds remain in the Laker penalty, and Pye got tested there by Palumbo. Face-off will be off the Bills' left side in the Northern Michigan zone, and at 8 seconds, LaPrade will be back, and here's our mystery Wildcat this week, and he's a political science major. Looks like a poli-sci major to me.
Well, Northern Lake Superior has converted on 3 shorthanded goals, 1 going to Palumbo so far this season, Tom, so hopefully he won't be able to add another notch there tonight.
Gene, that looked like an older picture, too, an older studio photograph. Backing over the line is Jacobson. Lakers back to full strength. The centering pass for Dave Porter goes in between his skates. Penalty coming up behind the play as Northern Michigan will be penalized, and as Sukharov gets the puck, the play will be blown down, and I believe it's Garrow that's going to go to the penalty box for Northern Michigan.
Looked like a charging call, Tom, as he really came in kind of fast after the play, and he had passed the puck up to him, so it's going to be a power play for Lake Superior State.
Time of the penalty will be 4:51. That'll leave it up the power play opportunities at 1 each. Will set the Northern Michigan shorthanded situation. It's going to be Galicki, Olson, Podrasky, and Phil Brown. And for the Lake Superior State team, Palumbo, DeCarlo, and Barnett up front. Clearing down into the Northern Michigan zone is Cord Cernich. He'll be back on the left point. This is Cernich holding at the blue line. Cernich clears it back down in behind the Northern Michigan net area where Olson clears it back out, but it's going to be offside now as that puck came out over the blue line, shoved back in by the other Laker point man, that being Carl Johnston.
Well, that puck almost hopped over the Laker defender right there, and Galicki would have been all alone on that goalie.
Would have had to start another engine over there, though, Gene. Face-off just outside the Northern Michigan blue line. 1:40 left in Garrow's charging penalty. Clearing down in is Johnston in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Clearing attempt by Podrasky, block, puck into the near side corner. Holding for the Lakers, clearing back to the blue line. A drive from there as Johnston teed it up off the feed from Dyer, and that gets deflected up over the glass and into the bleacher crowd behind the Northern Michigan goal.
One reason why Billy Pye is doing so well in net this year is he's having a nice open lane for the shot. They aren't, the Wildcats aren't allowing a lot of screens in front of the net, and the defenders are doing a good job of getting the rebounds out of there for Billy Pye.
Well, up front for Lake Superior right now, we have Jim Dowd, along with the center man. Is a shot from the blue line by Dowd, gets gloved off and knocked down by Pye, and Plandowski picks it up and clears down the ice. I think we've got a number change on Lake Superior. We're going to have to check that out down there. Palumbo's on the left side, Dowd in the center. Puck comes back out over the Laker blue line through center ice for Johnston. He clears it down into the Northern Michigan zone. Pye picks it up and clears it all the way back down the ice. 50 seconds remaining in Garrow's penalty. Lamarck and Porter up front now as the Wildcats attempt to kill off the rest of this. Lakers come out of their own zone. A center ice pass is intercepted by Porter, cleared right back to the Laker blue line. Play brought back in over the Northern Michigan line. Cutting for the goal, a quick shot, they score! What a pretty passing play as DeCarlo slipped that puck over, and putting it into the net past Bill Pye was Brett Barnett.
That was a pretty play, like you said. They definitely had their open lane as we look at the replay here. Carlisle will pick up the puck on the feed and send it over to Barnett, and he put a pass in off the backhander.
Mike DeCarlo 2 years ago was probably the best player undisputedly on the Laker hockey squad, and then last year along came Mark Vermette, Vermette now with the Quebec Nordiques of the NHL with their farm team. And DeCarl expected to carry much of the scoring load this year for Lake Superior. So the Lakers on the early power play goals go up 1-0 here in the first period. Northern Michigan tries to get it back out over their own blue line. They do so and clear it back into the Lakers zone. Cross ice at the blue line for Kesmer. Cleared up into the center ice zone, all the way back to the northern blue line. Podrasky has it. Podrasky just dumps it down into the Lakers zone. Turning to come out is Ken Martell. Martell weaves his way through center ice for Lake Superior. That play is going to be offside as Ed Ward bumped his man Breslin in over the line. Play will come back out into center ice. .12:58 remaining opening period. Lake Superior on the goal by Barnett, leading Northern Michigan 1-0. Last year it was pointed out, Gene, in the pregame interview that Lake Superior outshot Northern Michigan by about 20 shots in a hockey game, and still the final score was only 3-2. Perry Florio dumps it back in behind his own goal, seeing his first action this season for Northern Michigan. Brad Warenka clears it around and behind the goal. Florio has his pass deflected. Play loose along the near side boards. Florio steps in to pick it up. Turns away, gets it around to Warenka in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Warenka dumps it up towards the blue line. That puck is held. Knocked off the short glass, back in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Florio once again on his knees for Northern Michigan. Penalty coming up on the play. And Northern Michigan will be going on the second power play as interference will be the call against the Sioux Lakers. And heading into the penalty box will be Sandy Moger of Lake Superior. Time of this penalty will be 7:40 here in the opening period. And Northern Michigan, Gene, will try and get back the power play goal they lost just a moment ago.
Well, Northern has to take advantage of these opportunities, Tom. They just can't let these power play chances slip by them without getting a couple shots on net at least and getting set up in the Lakers zone.
Gene, looking around, this is probably the biggest crowd we've had here since the opening weekend of the season. Lake Superior breaking in on the backhand, a shot, and Pye makes the save. Good opportunity that time for Lake Superior State as Dowd broke in all alone on Bill Pye. Northern Michigan back in, a centering pass, and Antos just missed that. Lakers will bring it back out into center ice. On the move is Dowd, who just had the scoring opportunity. Dowd with the drop pass. Coming for the goal, a quick shot, and that trickled just wide off the stick of Pete Stauber. Lakers dangerous in the shorthanded situation here against Northern Michigan. Darrell Olson will try and bring it out of his own zone. Long right side pass for Antos. He just backhands it down. Holford holds it up. His pass intercepted. Along the near side boards, Antos back on the blue line. Olson fakes the shot. Works it down low. Lamarck back to Olson again. A quick shot deflected out front. And grabbing that puck is Holford, and he's going to hold on, and the faceoff will remain in the Lakers zone. 1:05 left in the interference penalty to Sandy Moger.
Well, the Wildcats really haven't had a chance to set up except for that last play right there, Tom, and hopefully they'll be able to win this faceoff and get a couple shots on net.
Garrow, Drake, and Galicki on the power play line for Northern Michigan up front. Phil Sukharov and junior Pete Podrasky back on the blue line. 11:25 remaining in the first period. Wildcats control the draw. Podrasky with a drive, and that sailed about a foot wide. In behind the goal, Galicki puts the hit on his man there. A loose puck along the near side boards. Dallas Drake down for Galicki. Galicki takes a look in the corner, back to Drake. Little give and go here, back on the blue line to Podrasky. Cross for Phil Sukharov. Back to Podrasky. To Drake once again, top of the circle. Drake fakes the shot down low. Galicki tries a centering pass. That's intercepted and cleared up the near side boards. Pinching in was Podrasky, but Lake Superior with half a minute to go clears it all the way back into the Northern Michigan zone. Sukharov turns, cross ice pass to Drake. Look out as LaPrade almost stopped in there to pick up that puck. Dallas Drake now picks it up, gives it right back away in the center ice zone. Back in over the line, being ridden down out of the play was the Laker player Jablonski. Northern Michigan back in over the Laker line. Puck along to Drake along the near side boards. Dallas takes a look. Penalty is over to Lake Superior. Lakers back at full strength. Drake, top of the circle for the drive, and right on, and Holford makes that. He's down. Loose puck in the crease area, and we've got a host of players there, and a couple of high sticks to boot, and the faceoff will be off to Holford's left side in the Lake Superior zone.
You know, Tom, I was watching the playoff work for Northern Michigan, or the power play, and every time the puck goes down into the right side boards, the right side defender for the Lakers on the forward position pinches in a lot, and it would leave Olsen open on the point. If they could just get that cross ice pass back to him, he'd have a nice open shot on the goalie.
Good point, Gene. The last couple of weeks against Denver and also against Duluth, their forwards seem to pinch out more towards the blue line and cut those players off back on the points. Lake Superior successfully kills off their second penalty situation here in the opening period. Lakers with the 1-goal lead. Kevin Scott will take the face-off for Northern Michigan, wins the draw. John Good at the blue line, flips it back in behind the Laker cage. Cernich clears it around the far side boards, puck back in behind the goal. Cernich the first person there, clearing it off to Dan Kesmer. Kesmer out of Utica, Michigan, battling for that puck in the near side corner, clears it back around to Cernich. Cernich just clears it up the boards into the center ice zone. A long pass up to Stauber and over the Northern Michigan line. Stauber tries a centering pass on the backhand. That's intercepted and cleared back through the center ice zone. 9:40 to play, opening period. Turning in his own zone, Darrell Olsen. Cross ice to Good. His pass skips through the center ice zone. Written off the play is Kevin Scott. Mark Buffet on for the second time here in the first period, clearing down to an open wing in the Lakers zone. Lake Superior just dumps it right back to the Northern Michigan blue line. Kind of a scrambling hockey game at times here in the opening period. The Lakers have had far the better scoring opportunities, have cashed in on one on the power play, and have also had two good chances while shorthanded. Lakers still with Jablonski turning deep in the Northern Michigan zone. He and Good are having a little shoving match off to the left side of Bill Pye. Puck comes back out into center ice. Porter has it taken away from him, cleared right back into the Northern Michigan zone. In behind his own goal is John Good. He and Jablonski meet again in the far side corner. Puck coming away out to the side of the goal, knocked away by Good. In behind the goal, centering pass out front, and that's intercepted by Garrow as he picked that puck off the stick of Jablonski, and Garrow ridden off the play right at the Northern Michigan bench area. And the face-off will remain right at the Northern blue line.
Yeah, we heard some little noise from the crowd there, Tom. I think they wanted a holding call on Garrow as he was having a hard time getting loose from that defender. But they're doing a good job tying the Wildcats up, and if you've noticed, they've been winning the battle in the corners, the Lakers have, and that's been giving them the scoring opportunities that they've had thus far in the game.
Well, if you're just tuning in and wondering who's ahead in the hockey game, I'll tell you this. We haven't heard the voice of Frank Anzalone on our monitors yet this first period, as Lakers are up 1-0. Center ice pass for Antos on the move. Antos in over the Lake Superior line, dumps it down in behind the goal. Northern Michigan, first team there, into the near side corner. Landowski gets bumped off for his efforts to the side of the goal. Back to the blue line. Florio, just a weak wrist shot. That goes right to Holford, and we've got another scramble as Landowski has a stick up there with a Laker defenseman. Antos takes a shove right there from Mark Astley, and they're still discussing the holiday season. Landowski still having words on the far side of the crease area, right to the right side of Holford.
Well, Astley sure gave Antos a big board down there in the right-hand corner, and it could have been called for boarding because he certainly sent his shoulder into it, and he was about a couple feet away from the boards when he made that hit.
Well, we will have penalties, Gene, at the 11:42 mark here in the first period, as Plandowski for Northern Michigan and LaPrade back in the penalty box for Lake Superior State for the second time this first period. We'll be playing 4-on-4 hockey for the next 2 minutes with the Lakers holding the 1-goal lead. Roughing calls to Plandowski and LaPrade. Antos will be facing Anthony Palumbo, a senior from Sioux, Ontario, one of a couple hockey-playing Palumbo brothers who have played for Lake Superior State College, or University now. I wanted to call him Lake Superior College all night long, Gene. From the face-off, a shot goes just wide of the Lake Superior goal. At the blue line, Warenko holds along the near side boards. This is Warenko driving towards the side of the goal. His pass intercepted by Palumbo, and Palumbo will turn to the far side corner. Play still loose deep in the Lakers zone. Lake Superior will finally clear it back up through center ice, and this is Mike DeCarlo on the move. DeCarlo Loose puck for Palumbo in front of the goal, and his pass is deflected away by Florio, who now takes the pass along the near side boards. Florio clears it up to the red line for Dallas Drake. Palumbo steps in and clears it to an open wing. 7.5 left in the opening period. Lakers by a goal. Penalty coming up on the play, and this will be against Lake Superior. And it'll be a tripping call as Brad Wawrinka took the stick under the skates. And Northern Michigan will be on the power play for the third time here in the opening period.
Well, there's a lot of open ice now, Tom, with it was 4-on-4, and now it's 4-on-3 for Northern, and that's going to give Northern the chance to set up the box against the diamond. That's usually a good opportunity to score, especially from the point.
12:27, the time of the tripping penalty on Mike DeCarlo, the 6'1 senior from Covina, California. And I know a couple of years ago, anyway, he was one hot prospect for the pros, and I don't know if his stock has diminished the last couple of years or not.
Well, they have a couple players from California, as Martel is also from California. I don't know how to say that, Hacienda Heights or something like that.
Hacienda Heights, California. Dallas Drake, Galicki, Podrasky, and Daryl Olson for Northern Michigan. Puck off the linesman on the far side. Lakers dump it right at the red line. Galicki brings it right back into the Lakers zone. Off to Dallas Drake. Northern Michigan on the power play. And Drake has it taken away, and the puck cleared nicely all the way back down the ice by Lake Superior State's Pete Stauber. Stauber forechecking on Daryl Olson, gets it up to Galicki. Galicki down into the Laker zone, a quick shot, and that sails right over top of the Laker goal. Cleared back to the blue line. Olson holds there. Dallas Drake back to Olson. Cross ice, Podrasky. Podrasky takes a look back to Olson on the blue line, off to Drake. Wildcats trying to set it up. Olson off to Podrasky again. 1:14 left in the Northern Michigan power play. Olson fakes the shot. Podrasky with a drive. That gets deflected, and Hofer makes the save. Galicki gets it back to the blue line. Olson winds it up, and that shot got deflected out front of the goal and went just wide. Olson again from the blue line. Takes the look for Dallas Drake. Back to Olson, a drive, and that gets deflected over top and dropped right in front of the Laker goal. Laker defense there first and clearing it all the way back up ice into the Northern Michigan bench. Good catch back there on the bench by, I think it's Ed Ward.
Well, the goalie didn't know where the puck was. Hofer didn't know where it was after that play, and a shot was deflected a little bit high in front of the net and came down. Dangerous play for the Lakers, but they were able to clear.
5 seconds left in the coincidental minor penalties to Plandowski and to Doug LaPrade of Lake Superior. And in 5 seconds, Northern Michigan will have a 5-on-4 power play for another 45 seconds. 6:23 left in the opening period. If you joined us late, Brett Barnett on the power play gave Lake Superior the 1-0 lead they currently enjoy. Lakers win the faceoff, clear the zone all the way back down the ice. Northern Michigan back to full strength. Lake Superior remains a man short for another 40 seconds. Northern trying to cash in on their third power play attempt here in the first period. Puck backhanded by Lamarck down into the Lakers zone. Holford out of the goal, clears for Chapdelaine. Up the far side board, Sukharov tries to pinch in and hold. Lamarck tries to pick it up, can't do so. Lakers cleared all the way back down the ice. 20 seconds left in the Northern Michigan power play. Wawrinka circles in behind his own goal for the Wildcats. Off to Sukharov. Sukharov carries into the Lakers zone, a cross-ice pass for Antos. Antos holds in the near side corner. Antos back on the blue line for Wawrinka. Back to Antos, top of the circle, a drive, and that sailed wide by about 6 inches. Lake Superior back at full strength as DeCarlo comes back on the ice. And once again, the Laker penalty killers have done the job. Plandowski back on the blue line. Sukharov winds up, and that shot gets deflected by DeCarlo, who's just back from the box. In behind the Laker goal, clearing it around the boards. And out of the zone is Rene Chapdelaine all the way down the ice. Both teams will change up on the fly with 5 minutes left in the opening period. Long pass up to the red line is intercepted right there. Clearing it back down into the Northern Michigan zone is Carl Johnston. And Wawrinka still on the ice from that last power play, gets it off to Sukharov. Wildcats fail to clear the zone. Lakers control, winding up for a quick shot as Stauber, and that got deflected right over top of the goal. Rebound, and they're waving it off. The light came on. And that puck, Gene, I think was in the net. And we'll have to see if we can pick this up on the replay. And we'll see Frank Anzalo now, as we'll hear him too. Let's see if we can get a replay on this from down below.
Well, the Laker coach as well as the team is pretty upset about that call as we see the replay. Here's the shot. The puck went into the corner and they took the shot. It was a close call as it looked like Billy Pye's skates knocked the puck off the moorings.
Well, what the referee said was indeed that Pye's skate did knock that puck off, knock the post off the magnet down here, and it had to be just the instant before that puck went in the net. A good break for Northern Michigan. And we've got a penalty coming up after that play. And could they be calling Pye for delay of game? I can't see how they could call that.
That's what they're calling, I think.
How can they call Pye for delay of game sliding across?
You know, it didn't look like he, you know, in any way tried to purposely hit the puck off the post. He was sliding across like that, but that's what they're going to call him for.
Well, Pye gets the penalty for delay of game. 15-13, the time of the Northern Michigan penalty on the goaltender. And Lake Superior will be on the power play for the second time tonight. They scored on their first power play opportunity of the evening, the only goal of the hockey game so far by Barnett. Lakers control from the face-off, and they score. The blast from the blue line by Carl Johnston caught the upper right-hand corner, and that took all of about 3 seconds, Gene DeSonia, and Lake Superior up 2-0.
Well, we knew that it was going to be a close game as we look at it on the replay. Lakers got the draw back to the point, and he's going to fire a shot from back there. That was Johnston, and he's going to get the quick goal.
Johnston at 15-17. Dean Dyer will get an assist, as will Anthony Palumbo. And the Lakers have 2 power play goals and lead the hockey game 2-0. Northern Michigan has to pick up the pace here a little bit, but it's going to be tough coming back on a hockey team like Lake Superior that plays much the same style as Northern Michigan does. Play offside at the Northern Michigan blue line as Stauber was brought in by Olson, and the puck then followed. Face-off will come back into center ice.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, Tom. I was just thinking that myself, is that in a defensive battle like this, giving up 1 goal is tough, but when you go down by 2, you're really putting yourself in a position, and it's going to be tough for the Wildcats to claw back now.
Well, next goal in the hockey game, Gene, there's plenty of time left. The next goal will be very important here. If it happens in this period or early in the second, the Wildcats can't afford to give up another goal here in the first period. And coming back and over the line is Dowd, a quick shot, and that's chest high up on Pye. And we've got the pile-on action here as Sukharov lost the helmet and Ward steps in. But Pye was surprised by that shot, took it right up about maybe 2 or 3 inches below the mask and kind of stunned him there for a second.
Well, I didn't like the way that number 5, Renee Chapelaine, came just flying in on Pye like that. It looked like he just dove at him. You know, I don't feel that they have to hurt, you know, any of the Northern players out there. Maybe he didn't mean it intentionally, but he sure came in and charged right at him and trying to shake him up a little bit out there.
Chapelaine, kind of a big boy in all his own respects, 6'1", 195-pound senior from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Puck loose into the near side corner from the faceoff. Palumbo and DeCaro pinch in against Drake and Good. Good clears the puck back to the blue line, but not a rebound. Oh, off the shot, deflection shot right out front of the goal, and that almost beat Bill Pye. Puck got tipped a couple of times out front of Pye and almost ended up in the Northern Michigan goal. Lakers bottling up Northern deep in their own zone. Ward takes a hit from DeCaro along the near side boards. Lakers controlling the play. Palumbo dumps it in behind the goal. This is Brett Barnett. Back on the blue line. Kesmer fakes a shot. Cross ice, a quick drive, and that got deflected off the stick of Cernich. And Ward will try and lug it out for Northern Michigan. The penalty coming up on the play is Ward took an elbow up high.
They're going to call him for a high stick on Barnett, and he hit Ward up high as he passed that puck off, and that should be the call.
4th power play opportunity for Northern Michigan, and Gene, the way the power play has been going, maybe they should decline it.
They're having a tough time tonight. This is a very physical game, though, so you know it's got to be taking a toll on them.
16:33, the time of the elbowing penalty on Brett Barnett. And Northern Michigan will try and regroup as we look at Barnett in the penalty box area. Point combination of Wawrinka and Olson for head coach Rick Comlate, who, if you didn't know, is an alumnus of Lake Superior State University. Puck cleared right back down into the northern zone. This is Brad Wawrinka going to circle in behind his own goal. Wawrinka takes the return pass, takes a look, dumps it up the far side boards for Darrell Olson. Olson dumps it up a little further. That's intercepted right at the Laker blue line, and Antos comes in to pick up a loose puck. Cross ice for Olson. He'll drive a long shot. That misses everything. Plandowski, first person there for Northern Michigan. Back on the blue line to Wawrinka. Northern Michigan clearing pass for Olson off the boards and back into center ice. A minute 15 seconds left in the Northern Michigan power play. 2:38 left in the opening period. Plandowski back on the blue line for Olson. Across to Wawrinka. Down cross ice, they score!
What a feed from Antos as he set that play up beautiful on the far side board.
Eric Lamarck gets the power play goal, and Gene, as you pointed out, what a pass. Let's look at it on the replay.
Well, they're going to get the puck back to Wawrinka. He's going to find Antos on the far side. He just one-times it over to Lamarck, and he puts it in right off the shot.
That's the way you set it up on the blackboard, and that's the way they'd like to run it more often than not. As Northern Michigan gets back a power play goal and cuts the Laker lead in half to 2-1. Time of the goal will be 17:29 here in the opening period. Lamarck from Antos and Wawrinka. Puck cleared back into the Northern Michigan zone from the faceoff. Back through center ice. Dallas Drake on the move. Drake dumps it down into the near side corner. Centering pass out front, and Ward tips that off the side of the goal. Play loose along the far side boards, and gloving it from the air was Holford. Wildcats still battling down in behind the Laker goal. Galicki has the headlock put on him in the far side corner. The Lakers will finally try and clear the zone. Still can't do it. Puck loose along the near side boards now. Crowd wanted a penalty as Galicki hit the ice a moment ago. Turning in behind his own goal is Mark Astley. Astley, a freshman for Lake Superior, back through center ice. That pass taken by his counterpart, number 7, Podrasky. Play loose now into the center ice zone. Sukharov with a minute and a half to play. Opening period takes it in over the Laker line. Drop pass and a quick shot to the front of the goal. Gets deflected away by the Lakers and cleared up into the crowd. And the face-off will stay in the Laker zone.
Well, you can really feel the electricity here as Northern got that goal, and since then they've really started to gain momentum, and they almost got another goal there as Ward was parked right in front of the left side of the net there, and he almost had a tip in.
Lamarck for the mark on the power play, his 11th goal of the season. And that cut that Laker lead in half. All 3 goals here in the first period power play efforts. Kevin Scott wins the face-off. Puck loose into the near side corner. Clearing back, held in. No, not held in at the blue line, as the linesman ruled that John Good was back in the center ice area when he gloved that puck down. The face-off will be in the center ice zone. Did point out, Gene, a lot of electricity in the crowd tonight. They were kind of silent after the Lakers went up 2-0. But as I pointed out earlier, I think probably our biggest crowd since the Michigan Tech game back first homestand of the season. From the face-off, Lakers control deep in their own zone. Cernich clears up the far side boards. The center ice pass gets knocked into the Northern Michigan end. Lamarck picks it up and just flips it off the glass back into center ice. Under a minute to play in the opening period. The Lakers leading the hockey game 2-1. Pye clears it into the near side corner. Lamarck takes a hit. Antos tries to get the puck from Kesmer. Or make that Constantine. This is John Good. Sukharov a clearing pass into center ice for Antos. That puck intercepted by LaPrade and cleared right back into the Northern Michigan zone. Half a minute to go in period number 1. Clearing pass for Porter through center ice. His drop pass nowhere near any Wildcat. Brought back to the center red line. They'll pile it up right in front of the penalty boxes there as Jacobson and a Laker player get the sticks up and the arms up, that being Dave DeVita.
Well, this is time for our Q107 break here. The next road game for the Hockey Wildcats will be against Michigan Tech on January 6th, and you can catch all the action on Q107.
Of course, that's a home-and-home series with the Huskies up in Houghton on Friday night. Back at Lakeview Arena on Saturday night. 5 seconds left in the opening period as Warenka takes a stick up around the helmet but turns away with the puck. And that'll end the first period as Warenka goes for the headlock with Mike DeCarl.
Well, Bruce Hofer came up with 9 saves in that first period, and Billy Pye for the Wildcats 7, as both teams are finally clearing the ice now. There's a little trouble out there as Warenka is still pushing things around for the Wildcats against one of the Laker players, but they're going to get things broken up and head them to the locker room.
Well, things will calm down a little bit. We've played 20 minutes from Lakeview Arena. Our score after one period, Lake Superior 2, Northern Michigan 1.
Thank you for calling Togo's.
Yes, Togo's. I would like a large number 16 delivered to 1900 Bluff Street.
Okay, we'll have that to you right away. There you go, Dave. 1900 Bluff Street.
Okay. It's a bird. No, it's a plane. No. It's a sub.
Dine in, take out, or call for quick delivery at Togo's, home of the original sub sandwich.
In the heartland, people know what it means to reach for a dream. That's where Old Style is brewed. Brewed with a dream. Not to be the biggest beer in America, just the best.
I got a dream, it comes from the heart of the heartland. Right from the heart of the heartland.
Reach for the best. Old Style beer.
Hey guys, at Getz's you'll find a wide selection of athletic shirts of all your favorite teams. A complete selection of Levi's, including straight leg and boot cuts, starting at $21.99. Go downstairs and you'll find everything you need in outerwear and workwear by name brands like Woolrich, Carhartt, Dickie, Lacrosse, and Sorel. And there's Getz's shoe department featuring Timberland, Red Wing, and Rockport. Getz's, a downtown tradition since the turn of the century, where you'll find personalized service in a friendly atmosphere.
Welcome back to Marquette's Lakeview Arena. We're in between the first and the second period with Northern Michigan trailing Lake Superior by a score of 2-1. Tom McCord back alongside Gene DeSonia. Gene, all 3 goals on the power play that first period. 2 for the Lakers, 1 for Northern Michigan. We look at the goal summary. Lake Superior at the 6:20 mark. Barnett got the power play goal from DeCarl and Cernich. And let's take a look at that coming up on the replay. And we'll see the first of 2 consecutive Laker power play goals, and it doesn't look like a 16 or 17% Laker power play as Barnett with a nice finishing play from DeCarl.
Well, that play had goal written all over it. He could have went either high on Billy Pye or underneath him. He chose underneath, and he got the quick goal.
The second Lake Superior goal took about 3 seconds on the power play. As Dyer won the faceoff, we'll see it coming up on the screen. Got the puck to Palumbo, who directed it back to Johnston right at the top of the circle. And we'll see Johnston fake a shot, then drive one into the upper right-hand corner of the goal on Bill Pye. That made it 2-0. Northern Michigan then came back on a pretty power play goal by Eric Lamarck. Assist going to Antos and Warenka. And I don't know if we'll have a chance to take a look at that before the second period gets underway. Second period is underway right now. We'll try and catch that goal for you later. A very pretty passing play that Lamarck finished off for the only Northern Michigan goal. Just underway in the second period, Northern Michigan dumps it down into the Lakers zone. Galicki, a centering pass. That goes between the Wildcat defenseman at the blue line and all the way back down where Daryl Olson chases it down. Olson brings it back through the center ice zone, up to the Laker line. Play goes back for DeCarl into the Northern Michigan zone. DeCarl across ice, breaking right in, and Pye got a skate on that, I believe, and the Laker player took it just wide of the net. Back on the blue line, cleared back in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Podrasky, the first person there for Northern Michigan, off the boards through center ice, and this will come back down into the Lake Superior zone. Lake Superior with the early chance here in period number 2, but Pye came up with the save. Pye clears the puck along the near side boards. Long cross ice pass is intercepted by Lake Superior. They clear it right back into the Northern Michigan zone. Puck all the way down the ice. We'll have an icing call on the Wildcats, and the play will come back down into the Northern Michigan zone.
You know, if you noticed on that second Laker power play that we showed on the replay moments ago, it showed that the Lakers had put a pretty good screen in front of Billy Pye, and like I said before, the defensemen have to move the puck out of the way and get the players out of the way so that Billy Pye can have a nice open lane for the shot.
Looking at Jim Dowd on the screen, Gene, and he's got to have our hometown of the week, and that's Bricktown, New Jersey. I think they probably have some basketball players produced from Bricktown. Play back into the Northern Michigan zone. This is Eric Lamarck, who had the only goal, fires a shot off and echoes wide of Holford. Held at the blue line by Sukharov, back in behind the Laker goal. Landowski in with the puck in the far side corner, tied up there by the Laker defenseman Martell. And the play will be off to Holford's left side in the Lake Superior goal. 18:24 remaining second period hockey action. All 3 goals in that first period power play goals. The Lakers got 2, Northern Michigan got 1, and that's where we stand right now. Here's that Northern Michigan goal on the power play in the first period, and the pretty finishing play from the mark off the pass from Antos.
Can't get him any better than that, not even on a chalkboard, Tom.
Thanks to our production crew downstairs for that quick replay here at the start of the second period. Puck back in behind the Lake Superior goal. Troy Jacobson dumps it back in behind the goal for Lamarck. Lamarck takes a hit up high. Porter steps into his man. Florio pinches in behind the goal. Back in behind the goal. Garrow tries to stuff it on the corner, and Holford has that pinned against the goalpost. A good effort that time by Florio to pinch in to keep it in, and by Garrow to try and stuff it on Holford.
Well, we've seen right there a couple times as we're looking at the shots on goal. Northern Michigan produced 10 shots on goal against the Lakers, 9. But as we saw in the last couple plays there, Tom, the Wildcats have been coming out of the corner with control of the puck for a change, and that's going to be able to turn things around for them if they can keep doing it in this period.
Garrow, the junior from Marquette, Michigan, coming into the hockey game tonight, 6 goals, 7 assists for a total of 13 points. Loose puck in the face-off circle, brought back through center ice by Dan Kesmer. Kesmer off to DeCarl in the near side corner. Florio rides him to the glass and down to the ice. Kesmer from the side fires off a shot wide. Loose puck goes off the side of the Wildcat goal. DeCarl back on the blue line. Going over the stick of Cernich back into center ice. Cernich that time looked like he wanted to let loose with the shot, but didn't have the puck yet. Lakers clear back into the Northern Michigan zone. Florio, the first person there for the Wildcats. Up for Garrow in the center ice zone. Florio steps into the play right there, wraps up the Laker player, that being Rene Chapdelaine, and the faceoff will stay in the neutral center ice zone.
You know, we had mentioned a few moments ago about that hometown, Bricktown, New Jersey, and I'm sure that rings a bell for some of the local hockey fans around here, because it was either there that the Electricians played their national championship game and in the national tournament in 1984, of which Doug Garrell was a part of. Otherwise, it was a team that they played in the national championship tournament.
We'll have to ask Dougie about that one, Gene. Back on the point, held in momentarily by Podrasky, still held in, controlled by Kevin Scott. Scott still playing with that cast on his hand. A playing cast for number 19 as the Lakers clear the zone back out through center ice. Pass for Chapdelaine. He goes out of his way to jump up into Podrasky's face. Loose puck back to the Laker blue line. This is DeVita. DeVita turning for Lake Superior. Up over the line for Chapdelaine. Chapdelaine on the backhand. Intercepted nicely by Olsen. A long clearing pass for Dallas Drake. Too far for the Wildcat sophomore. Drake says that Martell touched it. The linesmen say otherwise, and the faceoff comes back into the Northern Michigan zone.
Little shot there of Phil Sukharoff, defenseman for the Wildcats, and he's really came on for a freshman this year, Tom.
You know, we keep mentioning the name Fernie, British Columbia, which is where Phil Sukharoff is from. And once again, the opposition, I believe, has a player from, nope, it's from Vernon, British Columbia is what I was looking at earlier. A lot of BC players in both the CCHA and the WCHA. And a lot of good ones to boot. Puck cleared down into the Lake Superior zone off the skate of Holford. Galicki steps into his man behind the goal. Dallas Drake holds momentarily along the near side boards. Drake ridden to the ice, slapped in the face. Galicki takes a hit. Puck loose for Ed Ward. Ward turns in the circle, dumps back for Galicki in behind the Laker goal. Pinned off the puck there by the Laker defenseman, ridden to the ice by Mark Astley. Play cleared around, held at the blue line by John Good. And we've got a little pile up going over there, and Dallas Drake gets the stick up. Ed Ward steps in to say, how do you do?
Well, I think there was a couple of possible penalties there, Tom, and we might have one call here as the referee starting to make his way toward the scorekeeper's area, and definitely could have warranted one down here as Galicki was held to the ice, and Drake, of course, with a little swinging incident with his stick over there on the far side board. We will have a couple penalties.
Another meeting at the penalty box area as Astley wishes Ed Ward a happy new year right in front of the Wildcat penalty box door. Both teams, although there is really nothing to play for non-conference wise tonight, realize it's an important game down the road as far as possible pairings may be concerned as the season goes on, plus the UP factor enters into the thing. As the three college hockey teams in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, and Lake Superior, don't meet each other that often, at least Lake Superior and Tech and Northern.
Be nice if we could get like a UP Classic like we have in basketball, where Lake Superior, Michigan Tech, Northern, and one other school could get together for a little tournament.
Maybe we could get a hockey team for Sumi up in the UP and we'd have a foursome. Play back into the Northern Michigan zone. This is a clearing pass to Plandowski, dumps it off for Sukharoff. Sukharoff winds up for a shot, and that misses everything. Along the far side boards, Antos holds it in behind the Laker goal. A little sandwich made there of the Laker defense. Lakers come away with the puck with Cernich. Cernich back through center ice. Tries to go around the outside of Sukharoff. Sukharoff says, no go, guy, and the puck cleared back into the center ice zone. 15-15 to play second period. A little bit of a rambly, scrambly, chippy type hockey game. Play back into the Northern Michigan zone. Cleared back in behind the Wildcat cage. Number 4, John Good turns. Takes a hit right there from Dowd. Dowd and Good tie it up. The faceoff will be in the Northern Michigan zone off to the left side of Bill Pye as we look at the Wildcat senior captain.
Well, it's been a great comeback for John Good as he's been hampered with a back injury all year long, and it's just amazing that he can play at the level that he does with that nagging back injury.
You know, he says, Gene, that it doesn't bother him unless he's on the ice for a long, extended period of time. And he says, really, the hits don't bother him either. But it's got to be an awful nagging injury to play with and play over.
Yeah, pretty courageous hockey player there.
Florio manages to get the puck back out into center ice and turning with it back at the Laker blue line is Dowd. DeVita carries up through center ice. DeVita tries to go around Warenka, gets pushed off the puck. Porter clears it back through center ice for Eric Lamarck. Lamarck with the Northern Michigan goal tries to go around Martell, gets knocked to the ice, sticks the leg out for Martell, which he avoids. Puck comes back up into center ice. Drop pass in over the Northern Michigan line on the backhand right through the crease area. Went the puck off the stick of Dowd, and Northern Michigan comes back with Dallas Drake. Drake through center ice and over the Laker line, pulls up, takes a look. Both teams back at full strength. Play dumped in behind the Lake Superior goal. First person there is Cernich. He gets it back through center ice for Dowd. Off over the line to Astley. Astley back from the penalty box. Pye gets upended. Penalty coming up on Lake Superior. Wildcats will be going back on the power play. Pye is to the bench for the extra attacker. Northern Michigan with a 6-on-5 advantage. Don't want to clear the puck a la Hank Monteith into your own goal, though. The Wildcats come back through center ice. Anto snaps off a shot, and that gets knocked down. And a double crunch in behind the goal on Cernich. And now we're going to have another little scuffle back there as Galicki and Antos put a little shoulder onto the Laker defense.
Well, Cernich sure took a swing there at Galicki as he went by him on the ice there. And if he would have connected with that punch, I'm sure they could have had a double penalty against the Lakers.
Northern Michigan will be going on the power play for the 5th time in the hockey game. And still behind the play, Kesmer is trying to entice Galicki. And Kesmer's a big fellow, but I don't think he wants any part of number 27.
Or number 22, Eddie Ward, for that matter.
Astley for tripping at 6:30 here in the second period. We'll set this Northern Michigan power play. The Wildcats successful on their last attempt. They are 1 for 4 on the power play. It'll be Antos, Lamarck, Klandowski. Back on the blue line, Darrow Olson and Brad Warenka. For the Lakers, to take the face-off will be Anthony Palumbo. He's out along with Cord Cernich, Brett Barnett, and Dave DeVita, or make that Kesmer.
Well,
Kesmer, number 22.
We haven't had the penalties or the rough play that we did in the first period, but it's still a pretty physical game.
Warenka clears it along the boards for Plandowski, drops it down deeper for Antos. Back on the blue line, Warenka fakes a shot, has it roll off the end of his stick, and jumping on the loose puck to clear it down the ice was Anthony Palumbo. A minute 40 left in the Wildcat power play. Lakers lead by a goal. Wildcats with the opportunity to tie things up here, getting close to the midway point in the second period. Play loose along the near side boards. Olsen pitches in for Lamarck. This is Kesmer in the near side corner. Lamarck and Plandowski battle with him. Play still tied up there, and we'll have a face-off as Kesmer and Lamarck now rough it up.
Well, that should be a penalty right there, Tom, as Lamarck and one of the Laker players were getting into it, and the third man came into the situation, and that's usually what'll warrant a penalty for a roughing call.
Lakers stick getting into the danger zone on Eric Lamarck there. Still a minute 19 left in the penalty to Astley of Lake Superior. Wildcats change up the power play combination with Drake, Galicki, Garrow, Sukharov, and the defense partner Podrasky back on the blue line. Lakers win the draw, clear back to the center red line. This is Sukharov. Off to Podrasky. Up to Dallas Drake. Wildcats come in 3-on-2. Drake takes a look for Galicki. Decides to hold up along the far side boards. Drake having problems over there getting tied up with the referee, Brian Ritchie. Play cleared back down between the Wildcat point man all the way down to Bill Pye. 45 seconds as Sukharov starts off on this power play for Northern Michigan. Has the puck taken away nicely by Lake Superior's Dowd. Puck cleared in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Wildcats will try it again up the left side for Podrasky. His pass to an open wing. Intercepted by the Lakers, brought right back into the Northern zone. Garrow intercepts that pass though. turns away, gets hooked off the puck. Fans up again. They want another call. It's not going to come, though. Podrasky cross ice to Sukharov. Lakers doing an excellent job killing off the Northern power play, and now as the Wildcat player Antos goes down, we're going to have a penalty on Lake Superior for a trip.
Well, I can't believe they didn't call that hooking against Dougie Garrow down here in the Lakers zone, because he was really hauled to the ice and he did have control of the puck.
Well, the Wildcats now have 12 seconds as the next Laker penalty comes at the 8:18 mark here in the second period. A two-man advantage for 12 seconds. 5-on-3 with the face-off off to the left side of Holford. Ken Martell into the penalty box. And that man, Bruce Holford, should be seeing a little rubber coming his way with a two-man Northern advantage. Holford from New Battleford, Saskatchewan, a sophomore, 5'10", 185 pounds. Interesting enough, Gene, Holford, I believe, is in his early 20s. Kind of an older college hockey player for a sophomore. Antos, the mark, Blandowski for Northern Michigan. Cats win the draw, back to Warenka. 10 seconds left in a two-man advantage. Blandowski to Lamarck, he one-times it, but didn't get all of it. Off the stick. Lakers will get a man back right now. Northern Michigan with a 5-on-4 power play. Olsen with a loose puck, a drive right on, and Holford makes the save. Rebound is loose, and the play is not whistled down. Puck back to the blue line. Olsen another shot. That gets blocked out front. Coming away with the loose puck through center ice is Astley. Astley has it poked away by Warenka. He rides him right into the end boards. Wildcats still on the power play as they tie it up. And the loose puck goes to Daryl Olsen. A minute 20 left in the Northern Michigan power play. Wildcats now 1 of 5 here in the hockey game. Lakers break it up and clear it back into the Northern Michigan zone. Nearing the midway point of the second period, Tom McCord along with Gene DeSonia from Lake Jewel Arena, Northern Michigan versus Lake Superior State. Standing his man up in the center ice zone was the Laker player Chapdelaine. Northern Michigan controls from the Laker end. A drive from Olsen misses everything. Back on the right point to Podrasky. Across for Olsen. Takes the shot to Garrow. Northern Michigan on the power play for 45 seconds. Blandowski goes to the ice. Holding at the line is Olsen. He tees it up across to Podrasky. Back to Olsen again. Olsen from the center, a drive, and that just missed the side of the Laker goal on the deflection by Blandowski. Blandowski off to Garrow. Top of the circle, across to Podrasky. He fakes a shot. Off to Dallas Drake. Back to Sukharov. That's blocked out front of the goal. Turnaround, Garrow is blocked. Garrow in the circle, takes a look. Wildcats in the power play for another 12 seconds. Sukharov at the blue line for Garrow. Centering attempt, comes back to Garrow at the top of the circle. Takes a look. Podrasky in the slot, can't control the puck. Loose puck coming out for LaPrade through center ice, and he clears it down into the Northern Michigan zone. Lake Superior back at full strength. Northern Michigan controlling the play, but unable to get the shots on the Laker goal.
Well, a couple nice setups by Dougie Garrow from Marquette as he fed the pass to Podrasky right there, and a couple plays earlier he hit another Wildcat defenseman at the point, and they just weren't able to get the shots that they wanted to on net.
Long pass for Drake is whistled down on the icing as Drake couldn't come up with it in the center ice zone. And there's another shot of our mystery Wildcat this week. He's from Stratford, Ontario. He's a native of Stratford, Ontario. That smile kind of looks familiar there, you know. Of course, as we pointed out earlier, Gene, that's an older photograph. Face-off off of the right side of Bill Pye. Loose puck in behind the Northern goal. Lakers control along the near side boards. Dump back in behind the Wildcat cage. To Carl on the backhand, leaves it back there. Taking a look is Palumbo. Palumbo goes for the Carl side of the goal. Quick turnaround shot off the stick of Barnett, and Pye blocked that off on the short side. To Carl in behind the goal for Palumbo. Lakers doing the lunch bucket routine in the Northern Michigan zone. Back in behind the Northern goal. Kevin Scott, the first person there. He just wants to get rid of the puck. He throws it all the way down the ice. and then takes a hit from the Laker player, loses a helmet. Play whistled down on the icing call, and it'll give Kevin Scott a chance to pick up the helmet.
Boy, Wawrinka is in there battling with 3-4 Lakers right now. John Good into it now. As both teams taking a lot of shots after the whistle.
Well, Mike DeCarl right in the middle of things for Lake Superior State. You know, I don't remember DeCarl as the type of hockey player that gets involved in many of these types of things. And we're going to have some more penalties here at the 11:19 mark in the second period. DeCarl for Lake Superior State. And it looks like Brad Wawrinka heading into the sin bin for Northern Michigan. Coincidental minor penalties. Both teams will skate four-side for the next 2 minutes. 8:41 to play second period. Lakers lead by a goal at 2-1.
Well, I think this period more indicative of the type of game we thought we were going to see, Tom, as there hasn't been a lot of scoring chances, but there's been good defensive play and not a lot of roughhousing.
The Lakers on that last Northern Michigan power play played very well out front of Holford, blocked several opportunities in the high slot area. And while Northern controlled the play, they never really did get a good shot on Holford. A drive from the blue line, Pye the save, and he kicks up the leg on the rebound. Plandowski swoops in to pick it up. Up the right side for Antos behind the play. Plandowski upended. No call coming down to Plandowski near side corner. Plandowski bumped off the puck by Astley, rope neck to the ice. Astley with the puck off to Dowd. Coming down 2-on-2, Dowd in over the Northern Michigan line. Sukharov stands him up, and we're going to have a Northern Michigan penalty. And this is going to be, I think, a good call, Gene, on Sukharov, as he did grab a little hold there as Dowd tried to break around him.
Well, there's no question about that call right there, Tom, but Plandowski was hauled down to the ice on a hook just moments before that happened, before the rush up the ice, and the ref let that one go. I thought for sure he'd let this one go as a trade-off, and he didn't do that, and I think that that's not the type of consistency that these coaches want to see in the refereeing.
Well, I know it's not the type of consistency that the players want to see either, because it gets to a point where they really don't know what's going to be called and what isn't. 11:51, the time of the Sukharov penalty, and the Lakers, heaven forbid, on their third power play. So far, they're 2 for 2, face-off in the Northern Michigan zone. Last time it took the Lakers all of about 3 seconds or 4 seconds. Which one was it, Gene, to score that goal on a power play? One of the quickest power play goals you're ever going to see is Johnston teed it up right off the face-off. It won't be as quick this time as Dowd carries back into the Northern Michigan zone, holds on the blue line, Cernich. Cernich across ice. Quick shot coming in on Pye, rebound loose in the crease area. Johnston swoops in to pick it up. Off a quick shot, and it hit the post. They score on the rebound, and 3 for 3 on the power play.
Well, the Lakers came in only 18% on the power play. A lot, you know, even a couple points, percentage points worse than Northern Michigan. And here we'll take a look on the rebound on the replay as they take the shot. They hit the post, like you say, on the first one, and the rebound sitting out there. There's no way Billy Pye can have a chance at it, as he had overcommitted himself from the first save, and Lakers just tipped in the easy rebound.
Anthony Palumbo gets the easy goal on the power play. Dowd and Johnston get the assist for Lake Superior at 12:20 here in the second period. The Lakers back up by a deuce at 3-1. From the face-off, Northern Michigan up to Phil Brown in the center ice zone. Brown coming down one-on-one. And over the line, a quick shot right on, and the save made by Holford. Rebound loose right through the crease area. Into the far side corner, Garrow steps into his man. Puck held at the blue line. Cleared back in behind the goal. This is Martell. Martell bumped by Garrow, pinching into hold. Is Pedrasky out to Brown, and Brown has it go off his stick, knocked to the ice. Play along the near side boards. Loose into the center ice zone, and we've got an injured Wildcat down behind the play.
Looks
and
like
that is
Pete
Pedrasky.
Didn't quite see what happened on that play. Perhaps we can get a replay on it, but we'll wait and see.
Well, Pedrasky had that puck off for Brown, and when the puck left Pedrasky's stick, so did my eyesight. And evidently, Podrasky ran into something, and I'm pretty sure was probably wearing blue and gold. .21 seconds left in the coincidental minor penalties to Warenka and Mike DeCarl, as Podrasky is up and skating off under his own power. Good to see. Junior from Canton, Michigan, 3 goals, 18 assists on the season, having a silently good year for Northern Michigan. Face-off will be in the neutral center ice zone. 7:02 left, second period. Tom McCord along with Gene DeSonia. Lakers leading Northern Michigan 3-1 at Lakeview Arena. Lakers control the face-off up through center ice as Kesmer dumping down into the zone for Jablonski. Back onto the blue line. Lakers hold there down in behind the goals. Jablonski being held off the play by Florio. Both teams back at full strength. Loose puck along the near side boards. Controlling in the center ice zone is Dyer. Dyer clears it right back in. Penalty coming up on the play, and this will be against Lake Superior State. Bill Pye heads to the Northern Michigan bench. And the pass way in front of everyone as Warenka takes the seat. And as the Lakers pick up the puck, the penalty will be called.
I think it'll go against number 23, Moger, but we'll wait. No, it's number 27.
How about Kesmer?
Couple of Lakers can. Okay, 22. I knew it was 20-something. Thought it was 23, but we'll go against 22.
13:38 is the time of the Lake Superior penalty. Northern Michigan going on the power play. Is this the 7th time, Gene?
This is their 7th time.
7th time on the power play. Wildcats are 1 for 6. Roughing the call on Kesmer of Lake Superior State. Antos, the Mark Plandowski for Northern Michigan. Wildcats controlled the puck of the major portion of the last power play opportunity, but didn't get any real good shots on Bruce Holford. This is Warenka back through center ice. Warenka with a nice move inside, pulls up in the circle. Clearing pass gets by Warenka, or gets by Lamarck at the blue line. This is Olsen deep in his own zone. Back in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Antos into the center ice area, has to turn back momentarily. 1:20 left in the Laker penalty. Northern Michigan trying to cash in and get back to within a goal. Olsen at the blue line holds, dumps down for Garrow. We'll make that Lamarck. Lamarck can't come up with it, the Lakers do, and clear down into the Northern Michigan zone. Wholesale line change for Northern Michigan as Drake picks up the loose puck, can't control it, knocked back out into center ice. Lakers will come away with this, and over the line a long shot, and Pye has to be sharp on that. The puck stuck in his pads as Barnett let it go, and the face-off will stay in the Northern Michigan zone.
Well, Northern just having a hard time getting the puck down in the Laker end and being able to get that power play set up. The second Northern power play, or the second one of this period that we saw, they tried to get that feed to Lamarck again in the corner where he got the goal on Northern's only power play, and it almost worked that last power play we saw, but they haven't been able to do it this time.
Face-off off the Pye's right side from the draw. Podrasky clears him back behind his own goal. Podrasky and John Good back on the blue lines for Northern Michigan right now. Good clears it in behind the Laker goal. This is Jeff Galicki to Garrow. Garrow takes the look, back to John Good. Good tees it up, right on, and Holford comes out to make that save. Stepped out right to the top of the crease area to kick it away with the right pad. 25 seconds left in the penalty to Kesmer. Wildcats with one last scoring opportunity here on the power play into Galicki. Galicki a quick shot, that gets deflected away nicely by Chapladane. Back on the blue line, John Good has it again. Good across to Podrasky, back to Good. Good takes a look for Garrow. Nobody in front of the Lake Superior goal for Northern Michigan. Galicki in the corner off the Garrow. Lakers back at full strength into the slot. Galicki on the backhand right through for Drake. Drake tries to stuff it in, can't do it. Puck off the back of the goal. Chapeladane has it for Lake Superior. Clears it all the way down the ice. This will be an icing call on LSSU. Face off back into the Laker zone.
Well, Tom, they did everything but put it in the net that time. They, made pass after pass after pass. Set everybody up nicely, and they just couldn't put the finishing touch on it.
Face-off will be off to Holford's left side. 4:11 to play, second period. Lakers by a pair, 3-1 on the scoreboard. Kevin Scott on the face-off with Dean Dyer. Dyer from Sherwood Park, Alberta. Kevin Scott, of course, from Kimberley, British Columbia. Referee doing a little house cleaning off to the side of the Laker goal. Northern wins the face-off. A shot changes direction from the stick of Wawrinka, goes wide of the Laker goal. Cleared around the far side boards. Jacobson tries to step in, tip it away, does so. Back in behind the Laker goal. Kesmer plays it up the far side boards. Back to center ice. On the move comes Dyer. Florio intercepts deep in the zone. Pumps his man into the corner. That's Dyer. Loose puck off to the side of the goal. Coming around right in front of the goal. And Pye makes the save there. Rebound. A quick shot. That taken by Cernich is blocked out front of the Wildcat goal. Into the near side corner where Wawrinka piles it in there with Florio. Puck up the near side boards. Back out into center ice. Kesmer at his own blue line. 3:20 to play, second period. Puck cleared right back in. Florio down on top of the puck. And coming in with a little hit action there was Moger. And the Wildcats want to discuss that one. And we've got a penalty coming up. Let's see who this is on. No, we don't. Thought he signaled with the backhand of the penalty box, but I guess not. A look at Frank Anzalone in behind the Lake Superior State bench. Anzalone, as we pointed out, a very intense individual behind the bench of Lake Superior. This is Olson circling in his own zone. Up the near side, boards into center ice. Winding up for the long shot in is Constantine. Puck held at the line momentarily by Johnston, but now pushed back out into center ice by Northern Michigan. Johnston hooked in the center ice zone. Play coming in for Dallas Drake, and his shot goes about a foot wide. Podrasky pinches in, can't get there. Galicki takes a wild run at his man, can't connect. Northern Michigan with Drake coming back in over the line. Drake a quick shot and a stick save by Holford. Rebound is picked up and cleared out of the zone by Constantine, back into the Wildcat end. Both teams with multiple player changes. Puck loose in the center ice zone to Carl back. His pass deflected away by Podrasky, and here comes Antos again. Antos tries to go for Flandowski. Puck along the near side boards, down in behind the Laker goal. Flandowski playing it with the skates in behind the net. Centering pass, and that comes back between the defensemen all the way back to the red line. Back in his own zone, this is senior John Good. Long pass up for Flandowski, cleared into the Laker zone. Turning with that puck is DeVita. Clears it right back down to the center ice end. Drake tries to push it over the Laker line again. 1:50 left in the second period. This is Martell, bumped off by Lamarck. Martell takes a hit from Dallas Drake. DeVita gets it up, held in at the blue line. Sukharov a drive, and that just got deflected wide. Far side corner, Wildcats with a good forechecking pressure. Dallas Drake tries to get the puck back. Good pinches in, holds it momentarily at the blue line, and finally the Lakers clear it back out into center ice. Tipping it by his man, trying to burst in as Barnett, but Good hustles back to break that up. Right at the blue line, Garrow turns for Northern Michigan. Pass up for Dave Porter. Porter takes a look, off to Jacobson. Jacobson on the weave, in over the Laker line. Down to a minute to play, second period. Garrow in the near side corner. Jacobson back to Garrow. Jacobson in the corner again, being held down by Martell. Referee loses sight of the puck, and the faceoff will stay in the Laker zone. And out at the blue line, we've got a little meeting there between Wawrinka and one of the Laker forwards.
He's been into it a lot tonight, Brad Wawrinka for the Wildcats. Of course, he's back from that injury that he had earlier in the year, and hasn't seen a lot of action, but he's not the type to usually get into the fisticuff action, but he's been into a lot of it tonight.
Face off when it happens with exactly a minute to go in the second period off to the right side of Hofert. Jacobson, Garrow, and Porter for Northern Michigan. Lakers win the face-off. Puck tied up along the near side boards. Garrow goes after, tries to charge it around. Loose puck. Went off the Laker defenseman's skate and back out into center ice is Cernich. Long pass up the left side into the Northern Michigan zone. Warenka, first person there for the Wildcats with the puck in the near side corner. Up for Porter. Porter tries to push it up to the blue line, can't do so. Lakers hold in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Puck up the far side boards with 25 seconds to play in the second period, down to 24, and the faceoff will stay in the Wildcat end off of the right side of Billy Pye. Three to 1 on the scoreboard, all 4 goals. A little uncommon gene coming on the power play tonight.
Boy, a lot of action on the power play. Neither team really producing a lot coming into the game. As we said, Lake Superior State is 18% on their power play, but they've converted all 3 of them tonight.
Well, they've jacked that average up just a little bit this evening. Whatever it is, I would bet you $1 that Frank Anselmo would like to bottle it up and take it back to the Sioux with him tonight.
He's been looking for a solution, as has Rick Comley, to get the power plays going this year. And Lakers have been doing it tonight. The Wildcats continuing to have their tough luck as they are only 1 for 7, I believe, right now.
Both of these teams in second place in their respective leagues. Northern second in the WCHA. Lake Superior State second behind Michigan State in the CCHA. From the face-off, Pye makes the save and takes a hit up around the face, and we'll have a penalty on Lake Superior State. A needless penalty on Jablonski here in the second period, and I think that Billy Pye took a little bit of a dive on that one.
Well, there's no doubt he did, but the Sioux player definitely did hit him up high, and I think they could have gave him a double minor for that, because that was definitely a high stick with intent to do some harm, I think.
Well, Frank Anselmo at the Laker bench is just staring at Jablonski as he leaves the ice. John Good over with Brian Ritchie, the referee, trying to get a little more on the penalty situation, but won't be successful. Wildcats going on the 8th power play here in the hockey game. 14 seconds remaining, second period. 5-on-4 hockey for the remaining 14 seconds. And if the Northern Cats don't score here in the final 14 seconds, penalty will carry over to the start of the third period.
Well, that's the type of thing that can give your team some momentum, as it can definitely help you out.
Speaking of helping out, that gentleman there almost ended up on his head on the ice, reaching over the boards for something. Got kind of stuck there between the glass and that's going to be our shot of the week. It's going to make the highlight film if you're listening downstairs. 3 seconds.
Could have saw that one.
3 seconds left in the period. Cleared right in, and the Wildcats had a chance with a second to go, but the puck eluding the Northern Michigan players, and the second period comes to an end. And when the third period starts, Northern Michigan will be on the power play for 1:46. And the score after 2 periods, Lake Superior State 3 and Northern Michigan 1. We'll be back to check out upcoming events right after this on Channel 8. Well, here's a look at the upcoming events that you'll be able to watch coming up on Channel 8. College hockey as Northern Michigan faces off with UP rival Michigan Tech. You can see the broadcast of that game on January 8th at 3:30 p.m. and then again on January 10th at 7 p.m. And some women's college basketball as Mike Geary's Wildcat women take on Grand Valley State College. January 16th, the first game time, and then again January 18th, both nights starting at 7 p.m. We've also got a lot more college hockey as Northern Michigan takes on Lake Superior State in the second game of this series back in Marquette. You can see the game on January 20th at 7 p.m. and again on the 24th also at 7 o'clock. And then NMU versus Providence College as Perry Florio renews acquaintances with the Friars on January 28th at 1 p.m., then again January 31st at 7 o'clock. And then Northern Michigan finishes off with Hockey East rival Northeastern on January 29th at 3:30, and then again February 2nd at 7 p.m. So lots of sports action coming your way on Bresnan's Channel 8. We're in between the second and third period of Marquette's Lakeview Arena. Lake Superior State currently with the 2-goal lead over Northern Michigan at 3-1, and we'll be back with third period hockey action very shortly.
Now that we've got your attention, let's have your appetite at Van Gogh's Pizza and Lounge, North 3rd, Marquette.
Welcome back to Marquette's Lakeview Arena. Tom McCord along with Gene DeSonia. We're getting ready for the start of third period hockey action. The score on your screen, Lake Superior State 3, Northern Michigan 1. All 4 goals in the hockey game coming on the power play. Lakers led 2-1 after one. The only goal of that second period scored by Anthony Palumbo on the power play. The assist to Dowd and Johnston. Lake Superior 3 for 3 on the power play, and here's that last goal as the puck lay loose after it went off the far side goalpost right there. And Palumbo just tapped in the easy goal and gave the Lakers back the 2-goal edge at 3-1. Gene, the Wildcats need to get back into the hockey game here in the third period, which will be a tall order against the Lakers, who are defensive-oriented, much like the Wildcats are. The Wildcats, however, will start off the third period on the power play, and this will be their 8th power play that they're working on tonight.
Well, they've had some trouble, and I don't know what it is. You know, they've had some trouble setting up, and when they do set up, it takes a while for them to get a shot off, and they seem to get the quality passes in there. They work the puck in nicely, but they just can't finish it off.
As you mentioned, they're working the perimeter well, but there is no one on several occasions in front of the Laker goal, and you're not going to score too many goals from the perimeter with nobody out front. Into the penalty box for Lake Superior State to start the third period goes number 15, Jeff Jablonski. He went there late in the second period as he got the arms up in Bill Pye's face. And the Lakers will be killing off a Northern Michigan power play to start the third period. Stauber along with Dowd, Kesmer, and Cord Cernich on the ice for Frank Anzalone's Lakers. Northern Michigan goes with Antos, Lamark Plandowski, Olson, and Brad Warenko, who takes it in behind his own goal. Warenko for Northern Michigan, starting off Antos on the right side. Antos in over the Laker line, drops a pass right there for Plandowski to Warenko, back to Darrell on the near side boards. Plandowski tries to go to Antos in the near side corner. Antos takes the seat right there. Puck back to the blue line, held by Warenko. Warenko dumps it down lower for Plandowski, down into the corner. Tries to punch it down further, but the Lakers punch it back out into center ice, and Olson has to go back in his own zone. 1:05 left in the Northern Michigan power play. Wildcats try and regroup deep in their own zone. Warenko clears it around. Good-sized crowd here at Lakeview Arena tonight. Not too much to cheer about so far as the home team's behind by 2 at 3-1. Northern Michigan cannot get organized. Puck back into the Lakers zone. Lakers in control. Clearing it all the way back down into the Northern Michigan zone. 35 seconds left in that penalty to Jablonski of Lake Superior. Warenko starts off Olson left side. Olson down to the Laker line, a quick snapshot, and that goes up high on Holford. He had to juggle it for a second, but he hangs on.
You mentioned the crowd not being a big factor tonight. The only time they have been making a lot of noise is when they've been wanting a penalty being called against the Lakers, or of course when Northern did get that first goal. They finally did get to have some life there, and got Northern a little bit of momentum. But since then we haven't had much.
Podrasky we're looking at right now on the screen, and his defense partner John Good across the way. Dallas Drake in to take the face-off. Face there by the Lakers' Palumbo. Northern Michigan controls. Podrasky off. Dallas Drake fakes the shot back in the blue line. Podrasky back to Drake again in the near side circle. 16 seconds left in the Northern Michigan power play. Good's pass goes down. That's intercepted by Brett Barnett, and he's going to whip it all the way back down into the Northern Michigan zone. And that should effectively kill off the Northern Michigan man advantage situation. Good back through center ice as the Lakers right now are back at full strength. Quick shot right on. Good save that time as Brown let it go. Loose puck into the slot area. Lakers come away with it. Long pass up ice, tipped down into the Northern Michigan zone. Bill Pye out of the goal. We've played 2 minutes here in the third period. Lake Superior by a pair at 3-1. Loose puck into the center ice zone. Lake Superior will take it, dump it right back in on Bill Pye. Bouncing puck, and Pye is going to hold on. Face off to his left side in the Northern Michigan end.
I don't know if you've noticed it, Tom, but it seems like Beaufort's having some trouble controlling his rebounds down there in the Lake Superior end. And a couple of the shots he's bobbling, and he just doesn't seem to have the control that Pye does. So if we can get some more shots on him, hopefully we'll be able to turn the score around a little bit.
Well, Northern Michigan through 2 periods, Gene, had only gotten 17 shots in on Holford, and 16 of those have been saves as the puck from the face-off goes right to Bill Pye. Shots the other way, though, not that much difference.
No, they've Pye saved 15 shots, and they have 3 goals. So far, 18 shots on net for the Lakers to the 16 for the Wildcats.
And if you're joining us late, all 3 Lake Superior goals coming via the power play. 3 for 3 for Lake Superior on the man advantage situation tonight. Cernich from the blue line. That shot gets deflected out front by Brad Warenka. Picked up in the corner by Brown. Up to Jacobson in center ice. Jacobson down one-on-one. Good camera shot as Jacobson gets bumped off the play there by Mark Astley. Warenka clears right back in. A bouncing shot that sails wide of the Lake Superior goal. Pass up the near side. Boards up into center ice. On the move is Dyer. Dyer clears down in the corner. Jacobson, first person there for Northern Michigan, wheels away. Jacobson has the puck stripped off him. Florio steps into his man, that being Dyer, and takes the puck back in behind the Northern Michigan goal. Up to Ward on the right side. Ward through center ice for Northern Michigan. Snaps it off into the Lakers zone. Lakers get there first, knock it right back to the center red line. Cleared right back into the zone by Northern Michigan. Circling back there, trying to clear it out into center ice, finally doing so. This is Dyer dumping it down into the Northern Michigan zone. Lakers will head for the bench area. Play piled up along the near side boards. And finally frozen there, and the face-off will stay in the Northern Michigan zone, this time off to the right side of Bill Pye. 16:38 to go, regulation time. Lake Superior 3, Northern Michigan 1. Face-off won by Constantine. In behind the goal, driving there is Breslin. Back to the blue line, held in momentarily by Lake Superior. Dallas Drake turns. Back in behind his own goal for Darrell Olson. Olson off the goaltender's stick. Loose puck shot into the far side corner. Good thing Pye had the stick going out instead of in, or else it would have been 4-1. Lakers still control deep in the Northern Michigan zone. Puck off the back of the netting. Lakers battle for control back there. This is Constantine, bothered by 2 Wildcats. Taken away by Constantine. Constantine being held off a little bit. I think it's a little bit both ways, as Constantine had a hold of Podrasky's stick also. Wildcats clear it down the ice. It'll be an icing call on Northern Michigan. And coming up right now, here's another same shot of our mystery Wildcat. Unfortunately, it's the only one we had, and it, of course, is Rick Comley, the only head coach of the Northern Michigan Wildcats. Unfortunately, we didn't have any baby shots of Rick there, Gene. Good shot of Rick doing the job he does so well back in behind the Wildcat bench. Thanks to Diane Comley for the photo of her husband. John Gooden behind the Wildcat goal. 15 and a half to play, regulation time. Northern Michigan needs to get something going offensively. Antos presses down into the Lakers zone. Puck down in the near side corner. Lakers will bring it back to center ice. This is John Good for the long shot. Good railroaded into the Wildcat bench area. Gets up slowly at the center red line. A long shot from the blue line trickles in on Holford. Wildcats jump into control. Kevin Scott snaps off a shot. That got blocked on the screen by Holford and cleared down the ice by Lake Superior. It will go far enough for an icing call. 15 minutes exactly left to play. Regulation time. Face off back into the LSSU end.
Well, this isn't the type of game that the fans like to see, Tom, because there isn't a whole lot of offensive action as we take a look at Mr. Florio, the transfer from Providence College. But this is a good hockey game as far as the actual play goes, because it's a defensive type of style, neither team making a lot of mistakes in their own zone, and that's the type of play that coaches want to see, low-scoring game. But for the Wildcats, we need to get a couple more points on the scoreboard.
Definitely a tough game out on the ice tonight. Loose puck into the slot, they score! And I think that was Plandowski. I'm not positive, though. We'll have to wait and see. I think I'm going to be wrong again, but the Wildcats get on the board. Let's take a look at it on the replay. No, it's Buffet. You're right, 25 instead of 15. And Mark Buffet gets his first ever Wildcat goal to put Northern back in the hockey game at 3-2.
Well, Mr. Brown will get an assist for the Wildcats, along with number 19, Kevin Scott. That'll turn things around here, hopefully.
Gene, I stand corrected. That was not Buffet's first goal. He had a goal back in the series a few weeks back. That is his second goal of the season for the Wildcat freshman. Lakers dangerous from the side. Warenko blocks that off in behind the goal. Tied up in behind the Northern Michigan cage. To Carl into the far side corner. Perry Florio comes away with the puck. Off to Warenko. Wildcat Jr. presses up ice, knocks it into the center ice zone for Kevin Scott. Scott on the move in over the line. Scott in behind the Laker goal. Takes a look, centering attempt goes right through the crease area. No one there for Northern Michigan. Puck back out into center ice. Coming down 2-on-2, delayed penalty on Northern Michigan. Centering pass, Barnett, he scores!
Well, that'll take care of that penalty as he came in all alone. Well, a defenseman hanging on him, but it wasn't enough as he put the shot way up top shelf over Bill Pye.
Pretty goal on a good effort by Brett Barnett, his second of the hockey game. Here it is on the replay, threading the pass in, and Barnett puts it up high. And the Lakers get it right back at 4-2. Well, you pointed out that does negate the man advantage situation, but the Wildcats with Florio going to the penalty box will still have to serve the penalty. He'll be out of action to the Wildcats for 2 minutes, although the teams will remain at full strength. Palumbo had the pretty centering pass that time, and Barnett finished it off. His second of the hockey game. Lakers back up by a deuce at 4-2. Both teams at full strength. Puck cleared down into the Lakers zone. Clearing it out is Kesmer. Through the center ice zone and over the Northern Michigan line. Jacobson steps into his man in behind the goal. Takes the puck away from Moger. Moger bodied off along the near side boards. Plays still loose right there with Jacobson and Podrasky. Moger tries to kick it with his skates, gets hauled to the ice by Podrasky, and Jacobson turns for Northern Michigan. Pass comes out into the center ice zone. Kesmer flips it up way high and comes down deep in the Northern Michigan zone in the circle. Wildcats just clear the zone back out to center ice. Podrasky clears it back to the Laker blue line. We've played 7 minutes here in the third period. Each team has a goal. It's 4-2 Lake Superior. Galicki clears it back to the blue line, held there momentarily by the Laker defenseman. Cleared back in behind the Wildcat goal. Darrell Olson clears it along. This is Dallas Drake in the center ice zone. Drake and Ward 2-on-3. Late man is Galicki coming in. Galicki makes a nice move, takes it down into the near side corner. Back in behind the goal for Ward. Ward bodied off the puck there by a Laker. Puck still loose in behind the Lake Superior goal. DeVita ties up back there. Finally clearing the puck is Martell back out into center ice. Clearing it down into the Wildcat zone was the Prod. First man back is Sukharov who overskates it.
Well, Tom, I don't think that'll affect the Lakers' power play situation as they still are 3 for 3. Of course, they got that goal there and would have been a power play situation, but it was a delayed penalty call.
Well, the way the Lakers' power play has been going, maybe it's just as well they scored and saved Northern Michigan some time.
That's true.
John Good clears the puck for Plandowski. Oh, a high stick, and that's going to be a penalty on Northern Michigan. As Plandowski is going to get one, and Dallas Drake comes in now. And I think Plandowski's going to go on his own, but will wait, or maybe he won't at all. What's going on here? I thought he signaled a penalty.
Well, I'm pretty sure he did too as he put his hand up, and I don't think he was reaching for a whistle.
Unless he signified that he hit with a high stick, but Plandowski, I'll tell you right now,
yeah,
should be sitting in the penalty box.
Got him in the mask with that one. I had already written the penalty down, but I guess I'll scratch it off here. You don't want to put Northern in the hole any farther than they are, but...
Merry Christmas, Daryl Plandowski.
Yeah. Plandowski talking to him right now.
You should just be satisfied he's not sitting over there behind the Hockey Thunder right now. .11:48 left in regulation time as the play is whistled down right from the faceoff. We'll do it again off of the left side of Bill Pye. Next weekend, Northern Michigan home and home with Michigan Tech. Friday night up in the Copper Country. Saturday night back at Lakeview Arena. Come on up or come on over and see the Wildcats play next weekend. It's been an interesting season so far.
Well, that series is going to mean a lot as far as the home playoff picture goes, because Michigan Tech also hoping for a home playoff berth, and they could possibly get themselves in a situation to be in one if they could beat the Wildcats twice.
Back in his own zone, this is John Good for Northern Michigan. Back up into the center ice zone for Antos. Late man is Lamarck, failing to hold at the blue line. Lakers come back with Palumbo. Palumbo with a goal and an assist for Lake Superior tonight. Play loose in the center ice zone. Back at his own blue line, clearing up ice is Kesmer into the Northern Michigan zone. Back in behind the Wildcat goal, Sukharov. Up for Antos, too far into the center ice zone, and Kesmer turns in his own line. 9 minutes played here in the third period. Lakers with the 2-goal lead, puck into the crowd. Face-off will be just inside, or make that right at the center red line. Look at Bill Pye in the Wildcat goal. Had a rough time up in Duluth last weekend. Bounced back and played pretty well here tonight. 3 of the 4 Laker goals on the power play. Clearing down into the Northern Michigan zone is DeVita. Brad Warenka turns for Northern Michigan. Up the left side through center ice, clearing down into the Lake Superior zone. Phil Brown, first person there. Centering pass, loose puck right over the stick of the Wildcat player, Scott. Quick shot by Scott, right on rebound is shot wide by Phil Brown. Play loose into the far side corner. Buffet piles in along with Kevin Scott. Play still loose in behind the Lake Superior goal. DeVita kicks it along. Up along the near side boards, Lakers will finally clear the zone back to the Wildcat blue line. Florio back on the ice after serving that minor penalty for the Wildcats. And the Lakers now will just lug it back out into center ice.
Well, Brown had the right idea on that last play as that backhander just missed the near side post.
We're at the midway point here in the third period. Northern Michigan trailing Lake Superior by 2 goals. Jacobson turns in his own blue line to Garrow. Garrow dumps it down into the Northern, or make that the Lake Superior zone. Centering pass out front. That's deflected right in front of the goal. Loose puck right in on Hofford, and shooting wide is Porter. Porter had that puck, I believe, tipped off his stick right at the very end. Lakers iced the puck. faceoff will come back into the Lakers zone, and Porter had the opportunity that time.
There's a couple of close calls there for the Wildcats, as one backhander by Brown just missed that same far side post, and Porter comes back and just dribbled a shot past it himself, and either of them two goals could have been what the Wildcats need to get some life here.
We've got to get the crowd into it a little bit, and the crowd's starting to make a little bit of noise here at Lakeview Arena. Always like these Lakeview uniforms with the anchor there on the goaltender's chest. We're looking at Holford. Gene, have you ever seen a hockey game down at the North Center of the Sioux?
No.
They've got this great big ship's horn at the one end. Whenever Lake Superior scores, it goes off, and it just sets everybody's VU meter right on its end. It is something indeed to hear, and I'm sure we'll hear it later this season. Play tied up in behind the Wildcat goal. Kesmer bumping there with the Wildcat player, that being his number counterpart, Ed Ward. And finally, as we get a good shot from the end camera there, the whistle's blown. We'll have a face-off in the Northern Michigan zone. Down to 9:20 left in regulation play. Wildcats need some instant offense here, trailing by 2. Another look at Frank Anzalone, whose team won the NCAA Division I ice hockey tournament last year in Lake Placid, New York. Podrasky is shot from the faceoff. That gets deflected out front of the Laker goal. Centering pass is deflected back out into center ice. All the way down, Bill Pye will stop it for Pete Podrasky. Drake, Galicki, and Ward up front for Northern Michigan. Long clearing pass for Galicki behind him. Palumbo back in over the line for Lake Superior. Cleared right back down into the Lakers zone. This is DeVita. DeVita gets it up for DeCarl in the center ice zone. DeCarl avoids a check there from Dallas Drake. Tied up at the blue line by 2 Wildcats. Galicki falls down on him. Delayed offside on Lake Superior. Waved off as the Lakers clear the zone. Galicki for Antos. Antos in over the line. His cross ice pass in front of everyone. Spandowski hits his man at the Laker blue line. Puck comes back into the Northern Michigan zone. John Good tries to clear it, can't do so. Breslin around in behind the Wildcat goal. Breslin in the circle, centering pass right through the crease area. Almost got deflected towards the Wildcat net. In behind the goal, LaPrade tied up there by John Good. Antos comes in. Puck goes to Breslin. Finally, Constantine has it taken off his stick by Antos, and Antos clears the zone. Dumped at the blue line was Spandowski. Wildcats looking for the call there. They're not going to get it, though. 7:50 left in regulation, and the play whistled down in the center ice zone.
In the Great Lakes Invitational consolation game, the final score, Michigan State 7, Michigan Tech 1. And the GLI championship game in the second period, North Dakota 2.
Michigan Tech completed a weekend at the Great Lakes Invitational down in Detroit, Gene, by losing to previously top-rated Michigan State, the Spartans 7, and Michigan Tech 1. Good news for Wildcat hockey fans. Next year, the Hockey Wildcats will be a part of the Great Lakes Invitational for the second time in their history.
Very prestigious tournament, trying to get the word out here. As the Wildcats were in it, of course, before, and it's always a good tournament to be in. Like I said, it'd be nice if we get one going up here ourselves.
Tell you get about 20,000 people in the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, and it's got to be quite an experience for these hockey players. Backing over the line, a shot is taken up high by Florio, and he's going to hang on. Face-off will be in the Northern Michigan zone. 7:28 left in regulation time. Of course, I remember the first time that Northern was in the GLI. I think they lost in the first round. I can't recall who they played.
I believe it was either Tech or MSU.
Come to think of it, it was MSU. I do remember it was the last year that some of the Wildcat seniors from the 80s, early 80s were playing. I remember Eric Ponath playing in that his senior season. That'd be back in about 1982. Antos wins the face-off for Northern Michigan. Florio tries to push it up the far side boards. Play tied up there by 5 players. Face off in the same circle off of the left side of Bill Pye. from the faceoff. Lake Superior in behind the goal. Eric Lamarck turns away. Some news across the way from Tony Tollefson confirming the fact that Lake Superior, Gene, has only had one shot on goal here in the third period, and that was the goal they scored. And we've played almost 14 minutes here in period number 3.
Well, we said it was a defensive struggle, and too bad that they got that goal in there, because it'd be a different hockey game right here. Only a 1-goal lead, but the Wildcats aren't out of it yet. They just need to score right now, because if, you know, the longer time ticks away, the less time they're going to have to get that second goal in to tie it.
Of course, the Wildcats tonight missing the offensive prowess of number 23, Phil Berger, who was sat out of tonight's hockey game for unspecified reasons by head coach Rick Comley. And as we indicated in the pregame show, your guess would be as good as mine. From the faceoff, Wildcats clear the zone. Back to the Laker line. Lakers into a defensive shell, to say the least, here in the third period, doing a good job of forechecking Northern Michigan. Garrow back in over the line as the puck stripped off his stick. Chapelaine knocks it down in for Stauber. Stauber on the backhand tries to get around Olsen, can't do so. Podrasky ties up his man momentarily. Stepping into Dowd is Jacobson, who tries to come away with the puck. Gets it up to Olsen. Olsen from the red line clears it deep into the Lakers zone. Holford holds it up there. Puck cleared along the near side boards. Back to the blue line. Good holds it right on deflection. Loose puck, they score! Ed Ward!
Well, that'll get the crowd going here, as he took a nice pass there on the play. There was no way the goalie had a chance at that, as hopefully we'll have the replay here to take a look at that shot. Here it is.
Time of the goal, Gene, 13:59.
That's Troy Jacobson, who's going to get the pass over to Eddie Ward there in front of the net, and he pokes it in for the score.
Should be Ward from Jacobson and John Good. And for Eddie Ward, that is his 5th goal of the season. Northern Michigan right back into the hockey game at 4-3. Plenty of time left on the scoreboard. 6:01 left in the hockey game. Dallas Drake from the faceoff clears it down into the Lake Superior zone. Play along the near side boards held to the blue line by John Good. Loose puck, Galecki from the side, and Holford had to cut him off on the short side. Back to the blue line. Sukharov from there has his shot taken away. Look out, Lakers dangerous coming down to Carlin over the line. To Carl, a quick shot. And Pye takes that off the chest and hangs on with the glove. Face-off will be in the Northern Michigan zone. A good chance by DeCarl and an equally good save by Bill Pye.
Well, on the other hand, we had Galecki had a good chance at an opportunity for a goal, and the crowd behind the net jumped up as if the puck had went in the net, but it was a little bit wide on the play. But as I said, there's plenty of time to get that tying goal now, as there's still 5:37 left in the third period.
Wildcats will go with Antos, Blandowski, and Lamarck, Good, and Sukharov, Palumbo, Barnett, and DeCarl for Lake Superior. This is Barnett back to the blue line. Dribbling shot through, and that gets all the way through to Pye, who falls on it right at the top of the crease area. We'll do it again over on the side of the face-off circle on Bill Pye's left.
Dangerous play in front of the net as John Good, Dean Antos, and a Laker all in front of Bill Pye. He was definitely screened on that play.
The last time Northern Michigan scored in this period, Gene, the Lakers came right back. Northern Michigan doesn't want to let that happen again. The Lakers go up by 2 again. This one could be in the history books. Lamarck battles for the puck. Antos, or make that good, comes in. A bouncing puck off to the side of Bill Pye. Antos steps in to take it away. Antos up to Blandowski. He just clears the zone down into the Lake Superior end. Closing in on the 5 minutes left to play mark in this hockey game. Regulation time. Lakers by a goal now at 4-3. Ed Ward moments ago getting Northern Michigan back to within 1. Blandowski with the long shot that Holford steers away easily. This is Florio at his own blue line. Dump pass up, intercepted. Lakers trying to clear forward. They just barely inched it over the Northern Michigan blue line. Wildcats dump it right back out to center ice. Mark Buffet with the other Wildcat goal this period. Wildcat goal-getters on the evening, Lamarck Buffet and Ed Ward, as the play whistled down for icing, will come back into the Lake Superior zone. On the Lakers side of the ledger, we have Barnett with a goal, Carl Johnston with a goal, Anthony Palumbo with a goal, and then Barnett coming back to score his second of the hockey game. 4-3 the score on the board.
Well, Lamarck has had some goals on the year, but isn't too frequent that Eddie Ward and Buffet are going to get a couple goals, so hopefully somebody like Jacobson or somebody can put one in right now for the Wildcats.
Good shot of the bleacher crowd down at the far end of the arena tonight. The mezzanine section almost filled up down there. There's still a little room, but this by far the best crowd since the Michigan Tech series earlier in the year. Play loose and behind the Laker goal. Nobody knows where it is. Porter from the side tees it up. Garrow, loose puck, and Holford's down on top. We've got a penalty coming up on the play. It'll be an interference call.
Should go against Chapdelaine as he was all over Jacobson there behind the net.
And let's see who it's going to be. It looks like number 5 is going up on the board. Renee Chapdelaine will head to the penalty box. Northern Michigan is going onto the power play for the 9th time tonight. Currently, the Cats are 1 for 8. Nice time to get number 2, a good opportunity to get number 2 as they trail Lakers by a goal. Good look at the alternate captain of the Lakers, Chapdelaine, in the penalty box. A senior, or make that, yeah, he's a senior on this hockey club for Frank Anzalone. Lakers to kill the penalty will have Anthony Palumbo centering. Cord Cernich back on defense.
Well, Anzalone looking over to the penalty box at Chapdelaine, and he's not very pleased with that last call, as that's definitely not the type of penalty a coach wants to see a player take with only 4 minutes left in the game and being up by 1 goal.
Kesmer and Barnett, the other 2 Lakers on the ice as we look at referee Brian Ritchie. For Northern Michigan, Antos, Plandowski, Lamarck, Good, and Podrasky back on the blue lines. From the faceoff, Plandowski a shot, and Holford had to be alert on that. Puck back to the blue line. Good holds it, kicks it forward. Battling for that puck is Lamarck. Good tries to hold it, can't do so, and Podrasky will have to go back into his own zone after it. Wildcats on the power play. Plandowski takes a look. Cross ice for John Good. Good on the move. The crowd comes to life. Good sends it back in behind the goal. Kesmer intercepts it. It'll be held at the right point by Podrasky. Podrasky across to John Good. Good fakes the shot off to Lamarck. Lamarck back to Good again. Good tees it up. Right on. Holford the save. Rebound is loose. Plandowski right on. And that got deflected by the Laker defenseman. Just missed the net. Back to Podrasky. A shot. Right on again. Holford the save. Rebound is loose. They score! Eric Lamarck.
That'll get the crowd going as everybody's going wild in Lakeview Arena. What a play. Here's a replay on it as the puck was behind the net. Eric Lamarck spinning around. Shot taken by Podrasky. Rebound out there. Plandowski takes a shot at it, and there's Eric Lamarck tipping it in as the puck was loose in the crease.
Lamarck with his second power play goal of the hockey game. Time of that goal is 16:33, Gene, and the Wildcats have come from Never Never Land to get back into this one at 4-2. Let's give them credit. They've done it time and time again this year, and they do it once again tonight. Still 3 1/4 to play in the hockey game. Regulation time, 4-4 on the scoreboard. Lakers bring it back through center ice. This is Dyer on the move. Dyer run off into the far side boards by Olsen. In behind the goal. This is Jablonski. Jablonski has it taken away by Drake. Ward tips it back out into center ice. Ward and Jablonski tied up deep inside the Northern Michigan zone. Play delayed offside, waved off as the Lakers touch up. And this is Daryl Olsen. Under 3 minutes to go. Here comes Dallas Drake through center ice. Wildcats 2-on-2. Galicki off to Drake. Drake being ridden off the play across the way by Martell. Loose puck in behind the Laker goal. Centering attempt is broken up by Jablonski. Jeff Galicki digs into the corner. Back on the blue line. Warenka fakes the shot and clears it down into the far side corner. Dallas Drake on the backhand. Play tied up with 4 players, and the face-off will stay in the Lakers zone with 2:25 as the crowd lets out a roar.
Well, that penalty, very big factor in this game now, as Shap Delane took that interference penalty, an unnecessary penalty for the Lakers, and gave Northern another power play. They're 2 for 9 on tonight, and with the Lakers 3 for 3, it doesn't really matter right now because the score is tied 4-4.
Face-off into the circle, right side of Bruce Hofert. Wildcats will stay with Antos, Lamarck, and Plandowski. Back on the blue lines, John Good and Brad Warenka. Warenka from the face-off. His shot gets knocked away by the blocker of Hofert. This is Lamarck clearing in behind the goal for Antos. Antos pushed off the puck in the near side corner. They'll try and tie it up there. Late man in is Lamarck. And the face-off will remain deep in Lake Superior territory.
Well, the Lakers pushing and shoving again after the whistle, and Coach Angelone's just kind of got his hands on his hip down there, shaking his head, wondering if they're going to take another cheap call. And it's got to frustrate a coach, Tom, when you got to lead on a team. You know, it's a close game, and a player takes a dumb penalty like Shap Delane did, and that just holds the game around right here.
You know, Lake Superior in this third period, I believe they may have 2 shots now. And that's a big factor as the Wildcats have come back from 2 goals down to tie it up. Loose puck right from the faceoff goes right to Hofert, who clears it away. The Lakers dump it back out into center ice. Good knocks it off the Laker player's stick, that being Barnett with 2 goals right at the Northern Michigan line. Ed Ward's pass comes back, takes the return pass in center ice. Ward leads for Dallas Drake. Drake tries to go around the inside of Palumbo, can't do so. Northern Michigan will hold momentarily at the blue line. Oh, Galicki just upends his man right at the blue line. That's to Carl. And Brian Ritchie's just going to try and look the other way for another minute and a half here. Lakers with the puck in the center ice zone. We're down under a minute and a half to play. DeCarl trying to go around the inside of everybody. Penalty coming up now, and the Wildcats will be shorthanded. And it's going to be a holding call on Northern Michigan.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that penalty, Tom, as you know, the Laker got a quick burst of speed, went through the defense, and you know, Warenka hauled him down, and he's going to be out for the rest of this period. There's only a minute 25 left on the clock.
The only thing remaining to be seen, Gene, was whether Brian Ritchie was going to call it, and to his credit, he did. It was a penalty, and the Wildcats, I would think Rick Comley would feel that the law of averages has to be with Northern Michigan this time, as the Lakers are currently 3 for 3. This is power play number 4, and Northern Michigan is going to talk it over.
Well, I believe Lakers are going to call a quick timeout here and try to set up some sort of offense for this power play.
I don't think they need some, Gene. They've had it the whole game on a power play. But tell you, the Wildcats will run down those last couple goals coming from a 4-2 deficit here in the third period to tie it up at 4, and we're at crunch time here with a minute 25 left in regulation.
Well, Ward brought the Wildcats to within 1 at 13:59 on a nice pass from Jacobson in front of the net. John Good also drawing an assist, and then at 16:33, Eric Lamarck from Plandowski and Podravsky tied our hockey game at 4 goals apiece.
Look at the Lakers huddle at the LSSU bench. And here's a look at Rick Comley talking things over with the Wildcats, trying to set up a defensive plan to stop this Laker power play, which for 16 or 17% or whatever it was, has looked awesome tonight.
18% coming into the game, and they're shooting 100 right now, and you can't do any better than that, even on a chalkboard.
Well, the face-off, when it happens, will be off to Bill Pye's left side. Coach Rick Comley has out Dean Antos to take the face-off. Plandowski has his winger. Darrell Olson and John Good, the 2 seniors, back on defense. Palumbo with a goal and an assist for the Lakers. Dowd on one side. On the far side, I believe that's Dean Dyer. From the face-off, Dyer tries to kick the puck back to the blue line. Dowd holds it along the far side boards. Olsen steps in to intercept. Dowd takes it right back away. Clearing pass back to the blue line. Off to Dow, top of the circle. Back on the blue line to Cernich. Off to Dow. Dow to shot, and that's chest high on Bill Pye. And as Dyer comes in, John Good steers him away from Billy Pye.
Well, Billy Pye had to hang on to that rebound, and Dyer was parked right to the left of the crease there. And if Billy would have gave us the rebound, I'm sure Dyer would have been able to poke it in for the quick goal.
A minute 6 left in regulation time. A minute 41 left in the penalty to Brad Wawrinka, which if we go overtime tonight would carry over into the extra session. Face off opposite circle this time, deep in the Wildcat zone. Palumbo, Dowd, and Dyer, Cernich, and Carl Johnston with a goal on the power play for Lake Superior on the blue lines. Play loose, back on the blue line, Dyer to Cernich, off to Dowd. Under a minute to play in regulation time. Dowd down low to Dyer. Dyer clears back to the blue line to Cernich, across to Johnston. Johnston down low, Johnston the return pass, hops over his stick. Look out now, here comes the Wildcats, 2-on-1. Antos and Klandowski. Antos scores!
What a goal by Dean Antos. He had about maybe 6-7 inches to pick that top left-hand corner of over Holford. He got him as we'll take a look on the replay. What a goal.
Antos with the shorthanded goal for Northern Michigan. Let's look at it on the replay if we can.
Well, Wildcats got a break there as the defenseman took a shot, fanned on it. Antos came down the right-hand side and picked that shot. An unassisted goal for Dean Antos.
An unassisted goal for Dean Antos. And Northern Michigan right now, I believe, is going to call a timeout. 44 seconds left in regulation. 19-16, the time of the shorthanded goal by Antos. And for the Wildcats, that shorthanded goal number 6 on the season, and the first shorthanded goal for Dean Antos. What a shot that time.
What a shot, and what a break for the Wildcats as the defenseman had fanned on the play on the other end of the ice.
That was Johnston that came down low from about the same position that he scored that other power play goal from.
He was coming in. There was a couple people in front of the net. They could have been setting up a screen, but he fanned on the shot. Antos picked up the loose puck, raced all the way down. He had Klandowski on the left side, but he picked that corner picture perfect.
And I'll tell you, it's great to hear the home crowd get into it. And I know I've talked to Ron and Dave Porter earlier in the season, and I tell you, I remember some times, Gene, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when Lakeview used to rock week after week. Just a great time to come to the arena, and these Wildcats this year in 88-89 could have things much the same way as the crowd starts the rhythmic applause. 44 seconds left in regulation time. The Wildcats are still one man short. Lake Superior on the power play for the remainder of the hockey game unless they score.
Well, like you said, the crowd picking it up. It's too bad we couldn't have another period of play as they would really be into it, but I'm sure Rick Conley just happy to come out of here with a win.
Don't say that, Gene. We still
They scored! Oh, no! Daryl Olsen from almost his own blue line scores as the puck took a funny bounce in front of Holford. What a shot. What a free goal.
Well, so far, Gene, this season we're 1 for 2 on the free goals. Let's see if we've got a replay on this one. There it is from the blue line, and it scores on Holford. A second shorthanded goal for the Wildcats.
I wonder if that's a record.
Check it up. Olsen with the shorthanded goal, and it's 6-4 Northern Michigan. For the Wildcats, shorthanded goal number 7, and the first of the season for Daryl Olsen. This one's history. From the face-off, puck loose into the center ice zone. Cleared down into the Northern Michigan end. Held at the line by Cord Cernich. Cernich tries a centering pass back on the blue line to Barnett. Laker goal is empty. Lakers with a drive from the blue line. Kicked away by Bill Pye. Back on the blue line, Suric again a shot, and Pye is down on top of that as Palumbo is poking for the rebound. Face-off will stay deep in the Wildcat zone with an empty Laker goal and 16 seconds left on the clock.
Well, that ties an NMU record as that goal 5 seconds apart from Antos's goal, and the fastest 2 goals by 2 different players, Fred Hodge and Dan Kerrigan on December 14th, 1976 against Bear State, also 5 seconds apart.
It's got to be the fastest 2 shorthanded goals ever, I would think. Have to get Tony Tellefson to make a new entry into the record book. Good job on the stat book there, guy. It took me almost 5 minutes to find the one a couple of weeks back. Looked in every section but the right one. Barnett from the face-off, overskates the puck. Loose puck is cleared into the far side corner. Under 10 seconds to play in the hockey game. Antos clears it the length of the ice. This one's going to be history. The Wildcats have defeated Lake Superior State, coming from 4 goals in the 3rd period and taking a 6-4 final score win over the defending NCAA champion, Lake Superior Lakers. The mob scene in the Wildcat zone as they congratulate Billy Pye and themselves. And the Wildcats have defeated Lake Superior State by a final score of 6-4. We'll be back to wrap up the hockey game in just a moment.